Welcome to the Tuna Gear podcast. We were just 10 minutes into this and we realised we had a technical error. We weren't recording, so here we go again. I'm Andy, Danny, Alex Jordan, international playboy, man of mystery, lure angler,
Rod builder,
technically from the Midlands, but we're going to let that one go and he's going to explain it again in a minute. We're sat here with this massive table of lures. Something that I've just been dipping my toe into. I've fished with a couple of lads that have heavily dipped their toe into it this year. You know, the English market, I should say, is definitely not caught up to where the rest of the world is. But I don't think our fishery has in particular, which I think is a beautiful thing because we get to do it on our terms and we get to make all these mistakes and all these sorts of things and teach ourselves from the ground up.
Or learn from our Japanese and American cousins and just go straight to the point and we're...
So in the early days when I first started tuna fishing and I was struggling, my mate I was fishing with was like, let's go and get on a charter boat and get them to show us. And I was like, where's the fun in that? Where's the fun? Like, I want to teach myself. I want to realise that if I'm slinging something like this and the hook bends, that I've got that problem, or this is too big to throw at them on certain days, or you know, you can just go and watch it on YouTube. It's just not enough fun. But you've done a lot of this. Yeah. Let's start from where we were and go through again.
Let's reel it back.
Reel it back.
So fishing CV essentially.
Fishing CV.
Crikey. So going way back into the depths of time. So, without giving away how old I am, as I did earlier. So fishing from
you look good for 64, mate.
Tough paper round, it wasn't that tough. Told you, international playboy, it wasn't that tough. Going all the way back. So fishing from about the age of 4. It's been a good... We'll talk about bass double figures as well, actually. That took me over 40 years. It's a long story. So my granddad taught myself and my brother to fish. We were fortunate enough, grew up in the Midlands, and we got dragged to North Wales, sort of Harlech way, every summer holiday and Easter holiday, and then we got dragged down to Dartmouth. In fact, I think I've been coming down to Dartmouth every year since I've been born, pretty much. So,
right on the doorstep of Tuna Gear.
Yeah.
When are you down next?
Probably next year, actually.
Not coming down this year? Come jump on the boat if you want. Yeah. Don't jump on those charter boats. Come jump out. Come and jump out with the privateer boys who've got licences. It's much more fun.
There's only limbs to be lost.
Not on my boat. It's
So a lot of links down to Dartmouth and sort of South Hams in particular. A lot of old family as well, sort of pre-war. It just so happens everybody moved to the Midlands and we got these horrendous accents. So
you don't sound like you're from the Midlands.
No, I've been down south for about 30 years.
Yeah,
I escaped early.
Yeah,
as we discussed earlier. So I had the choice to either sort of join the Officers' College at Dartmouth and join the Royal Navy. My dad's sort of ex-services and my granddad ex-services, both ex-army, said, do you want to sign away 7.5 years of your life or take the easy route out in the Merchant Navy? So I joined the Merchant Navy and left home literally on my 18th birthday. Did that, I think, for 3-4 years. It was a baptism by fire, working on oil tankers, travelling the world, Middle East, Far East, a lot of long-range trips. I think I did 12.5 weeks at sea and land the one time. Jeez.
Yeah.
Fair amount of miles.
Yeah.
I learnt a lot, got a good suntan. Got the travelling bug in the blood, and
Was there fishing that could be done in with that?
I wish I had. I really wish I had, because all the crew, every time we're in port or we're sort of going slower, they would, night fish because we've got big lamps on the side. Put the lamps on the water, all sorts of snappers and stuff. And the Filipino crew in particular, just literally ate fish like demons. And so I used to go and watch them, and I didn't put 2 and 2 together because they used the hand line to go. Oh yeah, I fished all my life. Why am I not fishing?
Why have I not got a travel rod? Why have I not got this?
I mean, this was early 90s. I don't even think that was a thing back then.
So my mate Sam's in the Royal Auxiliary Corps.
Yep.
And he's all over the place, and he's got like this Shakespeare 3-piece 3-piece, like 50 class rod.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff he's caught, just like you say, the end of the chip, they're moored up in docks, fishes off the back of the boat, fishing. He's caught some bits and pieces as well. Yeah. I wouldn't class him. This is going to be, you probably listen to this. Sam, my fellow angler, is he's one of the, I've never known a lad who can chuck a rod out and catch every single time when he's on your boat.
Yeah.
But he doesn't fish all the time, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Definitely an angler, but he's an angler in spirit. If he had the bug as bad as us, he's more into his cars, but if he had the bug as bad as us, he'd be a hell of an angler. He can winkle them out every single time.
That's what counts.
Yeah, that's what counts. But like you were saying, you're travelling, you're on these different docks, different parts of the world, and out go the rods.
Yeah, I mean, obviously in the Midlands, we did a lot of canal fishing growing up. You get on your BMX, you'd strap your Avon fiberglass rod to it and go down the cut and go and fish bait, lures,
All from Bennett's of Sheffield.
Yeah. So privileged, just growing up fishing. My brother still fishes now, so a lot of carp fishing as well. So they came back, did like Benfield was on. I was heavily into my sort of match fishing. One of the reasons why my boxes are so organised, I think you get into a system, and I have to have a system, have to be organised, and did a lot of competition, sort of Gold Valley and that way, and did okay, but it's just soul destroying. It's it's tough.
It's very static.
Really static. It's always commercials, and And then my brother got into sort of bigger carp fishing, so we used to, he's still in the Midlands, so we used to get together once a month and carp fish overnights and get to see my brother, have a chat, drink a lot of bloody cider.
Yeah.
What's he drinking? Dark fruits, bloody.
Oh, Strongbow.
Dark
Yeah.
fruits. Oh, come on. And then just by chance, I've got friends that are Jersey natives from years ago. Got invited to a wedding in Jersey. Got on the World Sea Fishing Forum as it was. It's still a thing.
It is, it's still about it.
Yeah. And a certain Mick Ward, got a lot to answer for.
Shout out Mr. Ward.
Yeah, sort of invited me to come out on a Sunday afternoon after the wedding and come and fish and sort of top water fish for bass. And
did you just message through the forum sort of thing?
Yeah, just like, I'm in Jersey, is there any fishing? And he's like, yeah, come out, I've got a tackle shop. I'm like, oh, this is going to start well. Got a boat, come out, and so I met Bob Jameson, met Mick Ward, fished. And
such a nice bloke.
Yeah, been sort of bass lure fishing seriously since then, 2008 I think it was. And then, as you do, you sort of search the internet, because the internet was just getting bigger and bigger for sort of more exotic stuff. Knew I was going away to the Seychelles, and you start cobbling some gear together and start looking at stuff. So gtpopping.com forum, it's still there, good archive. So people like Luke Rister, Brandon Koo, who are Australian, very close to Japan. This sort of fishing has really been around since the early 90s in Japan, sort of down on the Southern Islands, in particular for GTs, Takara and places like that. They sort of developed the style of fishing, developed the kit, developed the lures. Obviously now we're seeing, Japanese sort of Stellas. Everybody knows it's a Saltiga or a Stella, really.
I just bought mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
couldn't buy it in the UK. I bought it from the Asian. You put me onto it. Asian fishing portal.
Yes. Yeah.
The closest one, which is like the main online shop, you would say, 1,200 quid.
Yeah.
835 quid.
Yeah.
Got it through without any import tax as well.
Yeah, so that was a second-hand one, and that is from Yahoo Auctions in Japan via Buyee, so BUYEE.co.jp, I think it is, which is a skin over Yahoo Auctions. So I think that cost me probably about 430 quid.
We looked at when we spoke about it, didn't we? We to and froed a few second-hand ones.
I didn't know where to go with it because I thought if they're coming from Japan, you don't know how beat up they are. And I was like... And I am no engineer in any way, shape or form to be servicing my own reels and doing that sort of thing. So I just looked at the price and just went, because I can put it through Tuna Gear as equipment, legally, HMRC, the accountant told me I could, because we're obviously using it for marketing purposes. I just let the business buy it for me.
It's a tool.
So here's a little tax loophole for you. You can put it through your business as long as it's going to last over 2 years. So if you've got a fishing tackle brand out there, you can stick it.
What we're saying is, don't buy a pen because it won't last 2 years.
Yeah, it won't last 2 years.
Oh, jeez. No, we're getting deep.
We'll stick with Japanese. So got into it. Very fortunate to be able to travel. So Seychelles, we cobbled some gear together. I think I had a Lamigas S-Glass popping rod. I think it was a twin power saltwater when they first came out. I think it was around about then. Only fishing, I think, 60 pound line, and fortunately managed to snag into a 49 kilo topwater dogtooth tuna on a Smith Baby Rumbo. Okay. I've still got it. Twisted leaders, as we used to do back in the day, just mental stuff. And got bitten by the bug hard. So you've got bass fishing in the UK, a lot of lures, a lot of obviously the mega bass lures like zonks, and we've got obviously our, sort of stuff we get from Mick and Ultimate Fishing. Yeah. And then sort of started looking into it, got invited on a trip in 2010 to St. Brandon's, which is north of Mauritius, but that was vicious. I think it was a 36-hour overnight boat ride on a catamaran in big sort of seas, and it was hectic. But untouched, thousands of kilometres of sand spits untouched. It was a fly destination. We found a French guy, went on a catamaran, and we popped. But again, you can travel to the ends of the earth, and you sometimes don't catch what you want to catch. I think there was one GT caught, and we just ended
fishing, not catching. That's what they call it. That it's
plenty of opportunities. I saw,
but you've got to be there. You've got to go and do this stuff. Otherwise, you're never going to catch anything. So
I mean, you touched on it earlier on, where you said earlier on that you've travelled to so many destinations. Yet this year you went to sunny Falmouth and had the best fishing that you've experienced for the bluefin in 40 years. That, I mean, it just goes to show you can go everywhere and spend astronomical amounts of money. You've driven a couple hours down the road and experienced the best you've ever experienced.
To be fortunate enough to have the fishery. I mean, St. Brandon's, I got lucky and got to Southern Oman early when a good friend of mine, Nick Bowles, who owns Ocean Active, sort of broke Oman, north and south, and sort of paved the way for people like No Boundaries and stuff like that. So got in early. I do have opinions that, even in 2012, I thought Southern Oman was fished out. We got canning factories on the island and long lining, Bangladeshis and locals as well, just hammering it and killing everything. So,
those long lines are indiscriminate. They just...
Well, yeah. So it's, you do sort of look at social media and go, the fishing's great. This applies to all destinations and all operators, and the reality is it is fishing, not catching.
Yeah, of course.
And it's tough, but there are some still really good places on the planet which are untouched.
Robinson Crusoe Island.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. So,
I've got a thing in my head about that place.
Yeah. So after that, I think 2015, I got out to Papua New Guinea and Eastern Fields, which is halfway in between Australia and Papua New Guinea. Way out there, untouched, still pretty tough fishing. We got some good doggies, but nothing, sort of massive. But we had a good crack. 2017, good friend of mine, Dan Connig, who used to run Adventure Angler in the UK, who's now sort of left and departed these shores. We got invited to a place called Ayo, which is a little island in French Polynesia, uninhabited island, which as a location is a dream location. You can't actually get there anymore because there's just no operators, and if you're not in touch with the locals and you don't speak French, you got no chance.
Mange tout. It's about as good as it gets.
Well, funny enough, you can picture this. It's like fishing on the rocks. Imagine Dartmouth Castle. You got the rocks past it. Imagine like a little hunting plywood set of decks and lodge built on the side of a cliff like that, with a toilet right on the pinnacle with a little cubicle around it, and literally next up is Midway. And then Hawaii is the next stop.
Really?
Yeah, so it was, I think...
That's a big gap in between.
Edge of the planet sort of thing. So we went from UK to France, France to LA, LA to Tahiti, which is the capital.
Yeah.
And then it was a 4-hour plane ride north from Tahiti to get to the Marquesian Island group, and then an overnight boat ride from there to get to this little island. And it's mental.
You need a day just the other side just to catch your breath after that.
I actually got really ill. I got like a chest infection, so I ended up in a hospital and getting massive 1,000 milligram penicillin just to get rid of a chest infection. I was coughing up blood. I was just like, fucked. But we had good fishing. Not great topwater fishing because it was a lot of rainwater and green algae. This island apparently is like this, like a volcano that came up like this.
Yeah.
So at some stage in the next 100 years, it's going to break and fall over and disappear. But very, very deep. So you got about 300 meters, literally meters, from the shore.
Just goes.
Yeah. So we had a lot of jigged up doggies. We had a lot of sort of jigged up wahoo. We had a great time.
That's fishing from the shore.
No,
just on the boat.
So little pangas and stuff like that. And then lo and behold, you drive down to Falmouth after 4 hours, and it's pretty much one of the best days fishing that we had when we came down in September on the day of the tuna comp. that I've had anywhere globally, it blew my mind.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's tens of thousands of bluefin.
I'll show you some footage when we finish this. There's some stuff we've been doing with drones.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. We have an unbelievable fishery on our doorstep, and it's getting better. We're definitely getting more small fish.
Yes.
20
inches.
20. What are we in now? 24. 21. It's like £500 a chuck.
Yeah.
This year it's like £150 a chuck. In some smaller one, well, they're so small they won't come up and even take it. They're just really small fish.
We saw some literally that must have been about 10 to 15, probably about 7 kilos, about this big.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, a bit too small.
It's a good sign.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah,
but you've got getting through those to the bigger ones can be, yeah.
Forgot to mention, I've done the Cape a couple of times. 2011, I think 2014 with. Coastal Charter Sport Fishing, so Captain Dave Petrasa, who is a pioneer for this sort of stuff, and to my knowledge, still holds the biggest casted and landed tuna at 106 inches. Spin.
Fucking hell.
106 inches is probably about £700 in and around that mark.
About an hour 45.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all. He's okay.
That's recorded, taken, measured, dressed, sold. Obviously, it's because it's in the Cape. But as far as I'm aware, that's still the biggest to my knowledge on spin gear.
Well, we'll give that a run then.
Which is a possibility in this fishery.
Easily over here, absolutely. The stuff that Kieran's doing down in Penzance, well, Newlyn he's out of, Unleashed.
Yeah.
The stuff he's doing down there, they're doing a lot of live baiting, a lot of this sort of stuff. It's well doable.
So I've not gone and done Prince Edward Island and Nova Scotia yet, but we're getting for those size sort of fish. We're getting for the big boys.
Yeah, there's some big stuff.
Yeah, but no, we're absolutely blessed. I mean, I was talking to Danny earlier. I don't quite understand how or where these fish are coming from.
The med. I can tell you all about this because I've been sat with I was in Scotland 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We were trying to catch some tuna up there at the North Sea with a guy called Angus Campbell off the Isle of Harris and Lucy.
Good gin distillery there, actually.
I was right next door. I was staying right next to it.
It's my favourite gin.
I was literally staying. My little house I had was there, and you could see the distillery just.
Did you bring any gin back?
I don't like it. Yeah, I don't like it. I'm afraid it was a bit of an. To be honest, I flew in and out with a rucksack.
Yeah.
I just chucked my gear in, a couple of pairs of boxes, and a couple of pairs of socks, and that.
They're seeing any West Coast? Or?
So they're seeing them. There's a whole thing. So Lucy Hawkes from Exeter University, she's the one that's been doing all the tagging through the chart program. They were going out and doing it all down through here. So they've done all the tagging they want to do down here. And we went to, at the end of last season, they had a debrief down in Plymouth Aquarium, which I went to.
Yeah.
And they had all the tracking information up. I went, A, I'm interested in it, but B, I wanted to know the travelling routes and where we needed to be at certain things like that. So what they found is they're coming like through Jib up into the Med. They're breeding up there, and then they're coming back out through. I always get it the wrong way around. Bay of Biscay, then Portugal, Bay of Biscay, whichever one.
Portugal first, Bay of Biscay.
Yeah. So they come through Portugal. So Portugal get like a 5-week season. And you start seeing it.
They're travelling fast then.
Because they are coming through. So we were down there doing a marlin comp. Me and Dave Mordecai did the Tavera offshore classic, and there's no birds, there's no bait.
Oh wow!
It's just bereft.
While they're travelling, it's like nothing to keep them interested.
No, so we were the only thing we could find to. We couldn't get out far enough. The guy we were fishing with didn't want to go out to the drop off. And I was trying to blag him. I was like, I'll pay the fuel, let's just go. But he was like, no, I've got some marks here. He was a bit new to it. We were finding, they call it, it's like floating weed. It's like someone's thrown their grass trimmings in. Yeah. That was the only place you could find a bit of bait, was held up underneath this weed. Yeah. That's where the white marlin were. So anyway, they get a 5-week window. They come through there, then they come up to the they come up through the Bay of Biscay, then they come up the English Channel. Yeah. Some of them go up the English Channel. The other ones come across. Yeah. Come round the bottom of the UK, and then they go up the other coast. Yeah. And then they head off towards like Ireland and stuff like that. Now they think the ones that are up in Scotland, they're seeing in Scotland, are actually Scandinavian fish, which are coming down across the top, and they're either kicking off towards Ireland. There's another mark I won't talk about it on here, but I'll talk to you about it afterwards. And there's another spot that they're heading down towards, which we've done a little bit of fishing down there. And there's definitely
Kingsmere Rocks, Littlehampton.
Yeah, that's the one. There's definitely There's definitely much bigger fish down there.
Love a bream, they do.
Yeah, love a bream. But there's much bigger singular fish down there.
Interesting.
But they haven't tagged any of those fish because we had a bit of a theory that those fish could be like Nova Scotia fish.
Yes, that coming over sort of Greenland
they've
and
got
Iceland
these. So the tagging program they did here, they've also been doing in America.
Yeah.
Now on the bottom of our ocean beds are all these little yellow buoys.
Yes. Yeah,
and every time these tags come across them, they ping them. And there's been no recorded pings from fish over there coming across over here.
Yeah.
Not to say it hasn't happened, just the ones
So
that have been tagged. Those fish are that side. In our fish are our side, but they're definitely breeding in the Med.
Yeah.
And then the Nova Scotia fish, it looks like Scandinavian fish are coming over the top of the UK, down our north coast.
I did wonder about how they're sort of hitting them in the
and then
North
going
Sea
into
now.
the Med. But the ones that are, that's the North Sea side. Then they're going up into the Med, and then they're coming back around. And the fish that we have are coming out of the Med up the English Channel, which is where you're now seeing them up in like Dover, places
Brighton,
like that.
places,
Eastbourne. And then they turn around and come back down through and back into the Med again.
So we have the Med and our European counterparts
so the Med
for the conservation and what they've been doing there. And
so I've got a theory on the smaller fish as well we were talking about. So while we're in Portugal, we found all these big tuna pens.
Yes, I flew over them for
big yellow buoys. You're not allowed to go anywhere near them.
Yeah, just out on the coast, big.
That's it. Yeah,
tuna circus, basically.
So they've actually been breeding in those pens because they swim in, they can't swim back out.
Yeah,
they harvest them. They've got X amount of quota.
Yeah,
the ones that are allowed to go.
Yeah,
when they've got their quota, they let everything out the pen.
We were talking about this earlier in the car, and I didn't know because I've flown over and seen them.
Yeah, so I'm. This is only my own speculation and guesswork. Yeah. If I was a Portuguese tuna farmer, I wouldn't be cutting those small fish up. They'd be pulling those bigger fish out, and they're opening the gates and letting all those small fish out. Yeah. They swim up here, starving, hungry, and that's where it's just
eating machines.
Yeah, eating machines.
Literally, we set 2 new boat records for Stuart. One smallest fish ever at 44 inches, which was about 25 kilos.
Tons of them out there.
Yeah. And then we saw them literally probably must be about 7 kilos, and we're like, too big for mackerel. And then they're busting with not in the same.
Is that a big bonito or is that a bluefin?
Yeah, it's definitely bluefin. We were close enough to see, and it's like they're all swimming together. So you've got. I mean, it's fantastic we're getting all those year classes, but it is still that mystery on where the hell. Where did the small ones come from? Because they must be like 6 months old.
Yeah, they can't be old. Yeah, a year at a push.
Yeah.
In there. So now, because they were on the endangered list, and then they jumped, like the stock levels jumped so high, they missed out. I don't know the different sections from endangered all the way back up to you can fish the shit out of them. But they jumped a whole bunch of sections within the space of 2 years.
They were declassified this year, wasn't it?
Yeah, declassified this year.
This year, yeah.
And they were saying it was going to be like another 7 years before they'd be declassified. They've done it already.
Because they were shocked, weren't they?
Yeah.
Actually, there's...
I mean, I won't lie, it's great. We've got the structure, we've got the rules, and you stick within the rules. And that's why, we've sort of held off doing this until we're allowed to this year. But, you bring in 44-inch fish in, you're like, that would be a fantastic dinner. Sashimi would be... fantastic.
We did this really good bit of content. We're filming out on the boats. We've done this amazing bit of content.
I'm hungry.
And I'm leadering this fishing and it pops up and I went, that'll make a good eating size fish. Well, that ruined all that bit of content because that could never go out. It was just like...
So somebody's got a tray of soy in there.
Well, there was one got washed up. Well, there's one got washed up recently, not far from here, hook in its mouth, filleted down both sides.
No.
Yeah, so people are at it.
So we had one wash up about £350 in Chichester Harbour at the boat club, and it blatantly got gaff marks all around its head. But I reckon it had been caught, somebody had chickened out and they just dumped it, and it just floated up dead. About 2 years, it's on Facebook somewhere. Just floated up dead, and just ended up literally on the concrete on the posh yacht club, and it's like, ugh. But yeah, it was pretty fresh. It wasn't. Yeah, it hadn't been out to sea long.
There's so many out there though. At some point, I can see the rules changing to where it'd be a bit like the bass rules. I'm not saying that you can take 2 a day, but I can see something coming where you're going to be able to take
something sensible. Slot size, 1 a day for registered boats only, and once the quota's gone.
Yeah. We got a whole bunch of quota. There's new quota. We've got another year next year, the commercial fishery, which is the 3-year trial fishery. I fished in it last year. you'd like to see.
Still not massive quotas, I mean, still
40, so each there's 13,
tiny.
13 boats with 3.2 tons each.
Wow, that's not a lot.
No, it's not a lot. And last year, the whole fleet only did 48% of its quota.
Oh, wow.
Or 49%.
Yeah.
It was one or the other.
Yeah.
This year, I know that Joe's...
You smashed it, didn't you?
Joe Lynch is done here. Shout out Joe, using Tuna Gear bars. He did it, I want to say, in 4 weeks, in 4 days. Yeah. But he was going hard at it.
Yeah.
Head of an angler. Like, self-taught, he's done the same as you. He's done travelling, loves his top water stuff. And he just... There was a couple of guys down in Plymouth sort of snickering at him, thinking, what's he going to catch? He's only a young lad, blah, blah, blah. He's put them all to shame. Absolutely showed the rest of the fleet up how it can be done.
Good on him.
Yeah, went out
Time
every
on the
day,
water.
took his 3.
Yeah.
Well, he's new to fishing, sort of like commercial fishing. He's got a rod in line bass boat.
That new repair, isn't it?
He's out of Plymouth though. He's in QAB. He's got
is he there? Oh, okay,
he's got a cheetah cat.
Yeah.
You know, came to bass fishing, took himself off, found his own marks. Taught himself how to catch John Dory's. Taught himself how to do this.
Very nice.
Got to take himself up to Portsmouth when Portland when the fishing's not so good here.
Yeah.
He'll go up there fishing. Just a good, solid angler. You know, good watercraft, determined. I like the lad. He's a good lad.
Worked it out. And
Crack the code.
Just get on it.
Always comes across superb.
Yeah, he
online.
does.
You can't. I mean, being a young lad, we know what social media can be like, and you talk to him.
We were all young once. We know exactly how
but
we
luckily
were.
we didn't have social media, did we?
That's true. Nobody knew.
Yeah,
I mean, it's fantastic. But I mean, from the price of tuna, from what I've seen for the UK market, we're not as well developed. The Japanese haven't really started integrating into our buying.
They don't know how to dispatch it. So one of the problems we've got is lads aren't dispatching it properly.
Yeah.
So wasn't it at one point bass was commercially more expensive than tuna?
Well, last year bass was outperforming when we were landing them last year. Bass was outperforming tuna for the whole year. We'd turn up with 3 nice fish, and like we really looked into the dispatching, the icky method, bleeding them, doing all this stuff,
chilling it down.
We're trying to get them to the boat as quick as possible. Yep. You know, this isn't a fight. This isn't for the pleasure. No. Get it to the boat. Yeah. Get it on board. Get it bled. Get it towed. Yep. Get it back up. Open it up again, tow it again. It's not the most. It's not the nicest way of doing things. Get it on ice as fast as we could. Get it gutted. Get the cavities filled with ice. You get it on the side of the boat. You get it to the quay. You're the local celebrities. All the fishermen are crowding round. You've got the fish.
You get like £3 a kilo.
£8 was the worst one we got.
Oh wow!
Like, I'd rather not catch it for that. It's dog food money.
It's such a great fish to eat. I've been fortunate, and I was discussing with Danny earlier. I was fortunate to work in Tokyo a few years ago, and actually went to the tuna market and got my ticket and went at 3:30 in the morning, all night sushi bar opposite, and some of the best bluefin tuna I've ever had anywhere globally. So everywhere else, everybody freezes tuna to get rid of the parasites, but Japan
blast freeze it, don't they?
Yeah, well they won't. They'll just do it raw. So a completely unadulterated raw, brilliant. But yeah, tuna market was definitely an experience.
So that's one that hit a key recently. You can just see it's not been done properly.
Yeah,
the meat in the middle is far too dark.
I'd still eat it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's in a fishmonger somewhere, and they're pumping that out like, look what we've got. Yeah. But when you know what you're looking at, you're like, oh man.
So it's maturity of the markets. I mean, the States again, I don't think they value it, so it just gets flown to Japan, and it's Japan where the money is. And
do you think that is over here? That is a cultural thing. It's just it's so new to us here. We don't.
Yeah, it's definitely a maturity thing. Yeah.
There's no one on the market that knows what to do. So we'll turn up in Brixton, would land it. They come out with a forklift truck on a pallet and go and stick it in the freezer room with all the other fish, and you're like,
where's the rice paper to stop the burn on the skin?
There's just none of that. There's none of that going on. Whereas if they've hit. You know, we've got this fishery, we've got this money that could be made. You know, you've seen the budget today, now they're pulling our pants down even further. You want to go and generate some money. The money they're talking about could be generated out of this fishery. Yeah. They're trying to plug the difference with. But no one's doing anything. Where's the fisheries minister going? Here's the guidelines. We're bringing the Japanese in to do this.
So maybe we are better just sticking as a catch and release fishery for now, and just wait for the maturity and for it to build. And
there's some people working on some things at the moment which will come into fruition next year, where we are going to put some stuff into place to be able to capitalise on what's going on. Yeah. But it needs some people to do that, to put their money where their mouth is and stand in front of the fleet and go, no. You're doing it wrong. We've got to do this, and this.
Well, it only benefits if it's a case of we can teach you how to do this properly and you will earn more money. This is your return on investment. This is how you will get more money.
Do you want £25 a kilo instead of £14 a kilo? Do these things.
Yeah.
You know, we're not asking people, not me, but we're not telling people to, it's not like they just don't know. If you don't know, you don't know. Yeah. This is how it should be done. This is how they're doing it all over the world. This is why they're fetching this money for these fish.
It is a maturity thing.
Yeah.
And you're making me hungry now.
We'll get Uber Eats in a bit. We'll get Uber Eats in. So
let's get back to the fishing.
Where did some of these are just absolute works of art.
Yes.
So I'm guessing once you got into this, you dived down a rabbit hole into this stuff, didn't you?
You do. It's learning because the internet is great, but again, Japan as a culture are quite closed. They're quite secretive. Don't like foreigners. It's difficult. So, you know, I mean, we talked about Zenak and some of the stuff we've got and ripple fishers. It's like, you know, trying to get a Japanese rod warranty honoured, no chance. And actually talking about the rod building, I do have developed a bit of a niche because you can't get these fixed. So if you want a carpenter or a ripple fisher fixed, you can't send it back to them because
Tim broke his ripple fisher down in the tournament.
Yeah.
He had it in the rod holder.
Yeah.
Went to cast another rod.
Yeah.
Smashed the lead straight through his ripple fisher. Broke the tip off of it. Something like that.
Yeah.
Went back to Gigabytes. 12 to 24 months to get a replacement tip. Okay, can I have another rod? 12 to 24 months.
Yeah.
But then I brought mine in from Slovenia or somewhere like that. It's
also learnt something as well. So I was trying to get hold of. We fortunately got a couple of ripples. We've got the Zenak to beat so as well. We've got the Monster Buster.
This is what you were telling me to.
Yeah, so we'll talk about this in particular, but I found a bit of a niche. So with popping rods in particular, so Carpenter's ripples, Yamaga, some of the Zenaks, you know, Tenraya as well. Obviously not the stuff we get from Ultimate Fishing in France. Some of the Japanese stuff.
Domestic Tenraya.
JDM market, they won't touch you. So I ended up fixing popping rods.
Why won't they touch us?
Because we're foreigners. We're outside of Japan, so you know they won't.
They're very protective of their domestic market, massively.
Plus, they don't communicate. They won't. You know, if you're not Japanese, you know they're quite anti-foreigner in a way, very xenophobic to a degree. So they won't honour a warranty, and likewise, it's like you know you want a replacement tip, well you're going to have to buy the whole rod and. Yeah, it's 12-month wait or whatever it is.
Unless you want to bring it in from abroad somewhere and
so it's a grey market for sure. But you know, we're talking about FG knots, and I'm an actual hater of the FG knot. It's done me very well from the side business. So I don't do rod building full time. I'm cybersecurity and IT infrastructure, but I've been rod building commercially now for probably about 2010, so nearly 15 years.
So is this one of yours?
It is a ripple, but We'll talk about this sort of stuff in particular in a moment, sort of reverse titanium guides and stuff like that. But with FG knots, you end up seeing a lot of these top two rings ripped out because the speed of the leader and the knot is slower than the main line, and it wind knot and catches and rips them out. So I've probably repaired close to 200, 250. I had a long chain of all the rings that I'd pulled off and replaced off popping rods, and I'd got this big chain. I binned it when I moved house. So I found a bit of a niche, so I repair and fix and build and popping, casting and jigging rods. And I've got customers, Taiwan, Barbados, a lot in the Middle East, a lot in the Nordics as well. So, just found a bit of a niche and ended up doing it. So you sort of reverse engineer what they do. It's not rocket science. It's like fly time, but you have to be a bit more particular with how you lay the threads and stuff. But once you've got the basics down, you've got a few tools and stuff, and I know we were going to talk about it and do a bit of a demo. And I know we didn't bring enough kit down, but it's not too hard, but it definitely takes a bit of skill and a bit of practice to get into it. But so I found a bit of a niche, and I've got quite a lot of customers worldwide. And
nice.
I've got a guy in Kuwait that's sending me 10 rods to rebuild because he wants a custom carpenter style, which is like metallic whipping and some certain stuff, but you got like a 2-3 year wait list if you want one from Carpenter and like triple the price. So you'll pay like $3,000 for a rod and wait 2 years for it, or send it to me and I'll rebuild yours in about 6 weeks.
So you're not buying blanks. You're getting somebody else's rod and doing customised jobs on them.
So I do have a couple of manufacturers. So CTS in New Zealand, they do a lot of jigging, a lot of really good premium, world-class fly blanks as well. They also do popping and jigging rods, which are pretty good, but they're not a patch on some of the Japanese stuff we get. So you can't buy them. I've got Matagai in Japan's one of my suppliers. So he has a range of blanks, which are pretty good, but they're not a Carpenter, a Ripple, or a Zenak. So so I tend to do rebuilds or fix stuff basically.
Okay.
So draw cork handles, I'll do. Cork
So can we just strip it back a bit? How did you get into that?
Okay, so as a kid, all the way back, you feeder fishing on the River Severn, couldn't afford a quiver tip rod, so picked up a 1970s Avon fiberglass rod, full fiberglass spinning rod from somewhere, chopped it, glued it, looked at some old angling times annuals from like 1976 and articles on whipping rods on, and you start doing it. So probably from at the age of 12, I think. So that's nail varnish and just normal thread, and then you start buying a bit, and then sort of I think when
fully home taught.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, my granddad was a bit of a carpenter, so we did all like hand wrapping and built a stand, and you do it all sort of hand wrapped and get cramp in your thumbs, and and then I think when I sort of got into the popping in the bass stuff, I wanted some changes made to a rod, and I kind of went, well, do you know what? I can probably do this myself. I've done it before. So then, a bit more experience, a bit more money to buy the proper tools, proper threads, stuff like that. And, we've got some actually quite good suppliers in the UK. So I've got Guides and Blanks, a couple of others as well. But I do import from Matagai in Japan. So if I want a specialist sort of Torzite T2, which is the darker ones, reverse guides, and we'll talk about why we've got these and why these are reversed like this.
Those gunmetal black guides look sick compared to. I like chrome guides, but when you brought that out and I saw what you'd done to that ripple fish, I was like, ooh.
Yeah, so that's titanium, dark anodized with a Torzite liner, which is thinner, cool, lighter, stronger.
Cool as, yeah.
Retail, it's probably about 120 quid for that guide on its own. So you're looking, and
tuna fishing isn't a cheap hobby.
No, it doesn't have to be expensive. I mean, if you can pick up second-hand
it does.
it
does.
You're talking to the wrong person here, Alex.
Don't ignore it. Don't be put off.
It does.
Yeah.
Put your ugly sticks away and buy some ripple fishers.
So the Carp Brigade have got something. Got a phrase for anti-frap. We see anti-frap rings, we see anti-frap tips, and
the scopes have got those reverse. The Nash scope rods have got those.
So the reason why we do this, so these are
1,200 quid rod.
If we can get that close to the camera, but we've got these standard. I mean, these have been around for 20 odd years, and the reason why we put the single leg first is essentially we've got large coils of line coming off. We want to constrict and compress those to get the line straight and flat to get a longer cast. So the Japanese worked out that the line would catch on the double legs a lot more, so they just reversed them. And then Fuji a couple of years ago brought out a dedicated ring which is in a reverse style.
Yeah, that's what's on the scopes with the Fuji bases.
So Nash finally have cottoned onto it after I talked to Kevin Nash probably about 8 years ago about it. And, it does annoy me a bit. So obviously in the rod trade, you understand the cost of trade prices and how much it costs. So, if we look at brand new Corda rods made by Dyer in Scotland with sea guides on them, you're paying 400 quid for a rod. I know for a fact the guide train on them probably cost them about 2 quid. And Aaron Inslee, who's down your way, used to commercially build and commercially build for some of the big boys as well. We battled with Keegan guides for years. They're just made out of cheese metal. They're not the same quality as Fuji stuff, and you'd spend hours trying to straighten the feet and level the feet so you get it flat on the rod before you could even put it on. So definitely, there's a quality sort of thing there, but it does annoy me when you look at a fly rod. It's 1,200 quid, 1,400 quid now for a top of the range Orvis or similar, and they've still got wire guides on them that cost pence.
Yeah,
you're paying 1,400 quid for a
People don't know though, do they?
No, I mean my fly rods that I build, saltwater ones, I use fully lined and typically fully lined Torzites, and we talked about that with the Zenax earlier. A lot less noise, seamless casting. It just adds probably about 5 yards to a fly cast because it's line guides and it's not snake guides.
Yeah.
But
do you prefer the Zanuck over the Ripple Fisher?
I haven't fished it yet. But there's a couple of interesting.
Did you get this through? Did you get that off Ben?
No, it came from Terry.
Right, okay.
So the other thing I learned actually, because I was after one, didn't realise Terry had got them, contacted Fishhead Duncan down in Australia, and he said, well, can't sell you one because you've got UK distributors. Go and talk to Ben or go and talk to Terry. I'm like, well, actually, I know them both. But he said, yeah, in Japan, they stop making them when the tuna season quotas are hit. So as soon as their quotas are hit, the tuna fishing stops. So they close their fishery, even from a recreational perspective. So they stop producing the rods. So I was lucky to get one. Terry fortunately had 3, 2 were sold. He said, I've got somebody that might want one, but if you want it, you can have it. So, yeah. But it's definitely a premium rod. But yeah, we've got, sort of rubber golf handles in almost like a golf grip.
Yeah.
Like reverse guides, but more importantly, as we learnt with you may find this with your 76 as well, we were getting a lot of tip wraps on the cast in this last. If I stand up, you should still see me. If I bring those together. So we were getting a lot of tip wraps just casting because they're stiffer rods on that top section there. And Stuart's like, I really hope you don't, because you've cast your line, your lure's in the water, and you're trying to untangle and get this round. You're going to lose your finger if you get it the wrong way. But with that, they've changed to a K-series guide and mounted it forward. So I'm actually going to, on my 70, I'm going to bring and change that and adapt it and copy that. I'm going to fish this, see if it works.
To see if it stopped by putting that
closer.
Yeah.
And a different slopey K-style guide.
And Zenak are the only guys that do it. I mean,
the only one I've seen.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, with mine, I've not had any tip wraps. They work even on the bass style rods. It's definitely. I had someone say, "Oh, have you snapped the tip off?" Because it's odd. No. That's designed specifically for tip wraps, and it's.
Yeah, so Zenak are doing some really clever stuff with some of the guide patterns. So we talked about the almost like 17 guides on a bass rod when we typically see 8, because you need the line control, more contact, and again, offsetting guides to get essentially more surface area contact with the braid. Right, so yeah, we'll see how we fish it. We're back down in December with Stuart. We'll see how we fish. But yeah, it's a lot heavier. Again, as we talked earlier, I was talking about Pencarnis rods and some of the other tuna rods, which aren't what I would call true tuna rods. They're more popping or stickbait rods. So
because Penn have got that new they've rechanged their 130, haven't they? The monster tuna now.
Yeah,
Sean's got them coming in tomorrow because that's what I was waiting for one to turn up. I just thought I'd buy a cheap rod because I get them through Sean at a much list
trade
price.
Full trade price.
All I've got to do is pay the VAT on it.
Yeah.
I was waiting and waiting, and claim the VAT back because Tuna Gear's VAT registered. Waiting for it to turn up, and I just got bored, so I went and bought a Ripple Fisher.
Yeah, so there's a lot to be said around, so we came down and we fished.
I can smell weed.
I can smell weed as well. I thought it was you.
No, it's not me. Yeah, it is. It smells lush.
Aaron, are you on it over there?
It's wafting from outside.
The cameraman is not smoking.
Yeah, no, it stinks.
Yeah, that's pretty potent.
Yeah.
I thought it was your vape.
No, that's later.
So we found then, obviously, there's a definite difference between brands that try and make a specialist product regards to the brands that are a specialist product.
Yeah, so a tuna rod is different from a stickbait rod, and a stickbait rod is different from a popping rod, and it's different from this and that. And
so are you carrying those on every trip? If you're going to be fishing stickbaits, you've got your stickbait rod that comes out?
No, so it's interesting. So, your GT fish, you're popping, you use a popping rod, probably with a bigger reel with an 18,000. Your stickbait rod will be a bit lighter, and you'll fish a 14,000 with a stickbait. Different actions, you need a softer tip for the stick baits. Tuna rods are always going to be a trade-off because you need lifting power.
Yeah.
So, Ripple, the big tunas in particular, are a perfect example of this. And that's why I'll compare it to sort of a Pen or even a Ripple Fisher stick bait rod. So when we came and fished the other week, I had an Ultimo Nano sort of medium rod. It was only it was a P8 to 10 rod, so a bit lighter. Me thinking, we're only seeing small fish. I'll fish a rod that's slightly different. But that has got a longer lifting point and actually hurt a lot more than using a heavier rod that's specifically designed for tuna.
Right, okay.
So it puts a lot more strain on your back. You don't have as much lifting power, so when you're in that final pinwheel, you're absolutely flat out. Your back is exploding, and you're like, I can't fucking do anything with this. So we made the mistake with that with a 67-inch fish, and it was like,
you just need the backbone in that.
You do. So it's always a trade-off. So you'll never be able to pop with these because the tip isn't stiff enough to work and get that
smoking up
reaction. That pop. So you lock it and it tip rebounds, and then you get the jolt to the lure to get the big sort of water curtain coming up. So it's always a trade-off. So a lot softer tips because typically we fish stick baits and smaller stick baits, hence why the ratings are lower. But the lifting point is a lot lower. and thus a lot kinder on your body, so your back's not in as much pain. It's still going to be in pain, but in particular the Zenak as well, because when you compare the handles, and you obviously can't see this on the camera, but that is a lot heavier handle than the Ripple one. So I think that is triple reinforced, and that's the lifting point's probably going to be a lot closer. So that whole rod will collapse out, and I think we got a couple of pictures on the Instagram of sort of the 86 being bent into hell and almost into what I would call high sticking territory. But quality rods, you can high stick them; they won't explode because of the carbon and the way
Explain to people what high sticking is.
So you get to a point where you saturate the rod; it's fully loaded. Usually in the top third, it bends all the way back round on itself, and it will explode because you've just put too much load on it.
Okay.
But quality
But it's
carbon.
with the blank ovals, isn't it?
And it just
a rod will from a circular tube. There's a certain percentage of where that'll bend, and that flat spot will oval. Yeah. There's only a certain percentage before the tensile carbon then collapses on itself, which is a tip break.
And then you go back and go, oh, can I get a new one? Oh, yeah, 2 years, mate. Fuck off. So it will be a trade-off. So you never pop with a tuna rod, and it's designed as a lifting tool rather than a casting tool, whereas a stick-bait rod is a casting and a working tool, and a popping rod is a brute. So I'd probably advise never really using a popping rod for tuna, because you are going to regret it. Really, really regret it. So, some of the cheaper rods and some of the stuff aren't what I would call proper design tuna rods with a lower lifting point. So, you'll catch a fish, it might put you off because suddenly you're in a position where you're out of control, it hurts a lot, and you can get into a bit of trouble. I mean, worst case scenario, right? You just let go and you lose your reel and your rod, and it's 1,500 quid gone or $1,000 gone. But so the Ripples, I'd always go with a Japanese designed and lead blank, because they've been doing it since the 90s and know more than anybody else.
I think you're going to really enjoy yours.
Yeah. So all of this was originally sort of Takara, Lower Japan. Sort of they innovated and they started doing this in the early 90s, and it's gone from there. So GT's there's a big breakwater where all the flying fish breed once a year, and it's Takara, and they've
been seen over here quite a lot.
Yeah.
But on
last year and this year.
Yeah, which is great. Fantastic. I love flying fish, absolutely love them. But there's a certain point in the year in the season where all the Japanese anglers will go down and they'll be shore casting for GTs, and that's where essentially the home of this sort of topwater sort of heavy casting came from. But it's fantastic.
So what would you be using when you're putting something like these out?
Yeah.
How are you working these back?
So that in particular. So we talked about different brands. So if we talk about this is a bit of an icon and has been going. So we got Carpenter, and that is a Carpenter Gamma. Which is why it's
a bit lower, Alex. Yeah, that's it. There you go. Yeah.
Which is why it's got the treble. So these are predominantly, and I'll come on to that one in particular. These are a topwater lure that don't necessarily walk the dog, but they'll sit like that in the water. So hence why the treble's on it, to get the weight. You have to balance it to a point, and it bobs up and down. It's a bit rude.
Yeah. Hello.
I think of it as like a golf swing. So at a certain point when it bobs down, you do a long sweep down. So we talked about gunnel height.
And you're watching that.
Yeah, so you're watching the lure, you wait for it to bob, and then you'll golf swing down, and essentially what that will then do is dive down in a tight S with a bubble trail. You can work it in different styles, but the basic one is tight bubble trail, and then it'll pop back up and just act like a dying fish on the surface. So
that's
a lot of flash on the side.
Quite hard to do with a coded boat with rails.
It is, yeah, because we found ourselves actually on the rail trying to get, because you've got to get the whole rod over to sort of work, even with the green one. So this was
a Wellcraft with a nice low gunnel height.
Yeah, you need no gunnels.
Gunnels.
But similar sort of thing. So that will sit in the water like that, but a lot easier. You don't have to time it as much, and a lot slimmer profile. I chose it in Garfish Green, and we'd gone through quite a lot the other Saturday. It was actually the day of the tuna comp that we decided not to fish, which turned out to be the wrong decision, as we'll talk about in a minute. But that was the fishing weapon, and I think that accounted for 3 of the fish, including the biggest of the day. Couple of things with that: it's a slim profile, brilliant action. Similarly, it'll sit like that and then come under, really tight S with a really nice bubble trail. Like you see in trolling lures, really nice bubble trail. Then pop back up and just wallow around, and brilliant piece of kit. Handmade in Japan by a little Japanese guy who sends you updates on Facebook with your particular build when you've ordered them. But yeah, they're not the cheapest. That's probably 150, 160 quid.
Bargain.
Yeah, that's what we said. I mean, when I picked them up earlier on, I was like,
you don't get hooks for that, by the way.
But when you said that to me, I was expecting to be fully holding a 300 quid lure.
Yeah.
And when you said that, like, it's probably about 160 quid, I was like, oh wow, actually, although that is expensive.
It's handmade, hand scored abalone, epoxied. I mean,
in the grand scheme of it, when you look at some of the brands, you can spend 250 quid, and that's just that's 250 quid.
Yeah.
I mean
it's about 200.
Yeah, they are. 199 euros.
Yeah, so that to me, I just think that's stunning.
Yes. Yeah.
I think they are stunning, the handmade stuff, but I was shocked when you said that. I was genuinely expecting it to be more.
Feels like different gravy to when you hold this.
So that's a handmade wood lure as opposed to a foam injected carbon fibre skin.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. That, when I bought it, I didn't realise it was quite as big as it was. So that probably I didn't
think they were this big.
No, it's big. I've got one of the stick baits as well, but I've not got it with me. Couple of other things, and we'll talk about angler safety as well. Barbless hooks. So seen a fair few incidents with big barbed hooks. So bear in mind, obviously we're free to a boat, casting free to a boat in rotation. So one person casts, move down, second person comes in. Usually always got your lure in your hand, so you're not waving it around because you've obviously got big weapons on it. But we'll exclusively fish barbless because you're just slinging massive hooks. You've only got to get one in the back of the head or in the back of the leg or in your arse or something like that. Hospital trip, if you're abroad in the middle of nowhere, as we talked about earlier, there are no hospitals, so you helivac out or medivac out or something like that if you can get a helicopter to you in a couple of days. Otherwise, you're sat on the side with... So we always fish barbless for safety reasons. Yes, we might lose a fish or two, but we'll always do that. And we talked about this earlier. We've got obviously really, really short assists on this that I think you can see just about. So I think these are Yamai Tsuteki Crafter Assist. Yeah, there we go. So one of the reasons I think HOTS came out with this concept a few years ago. We all sort of looked at it because we'd always, GT fishing, we'd always gone direct with split rings and big trebles and stuff like that. But we obviously recognise, and HOTS and the Japanese guys recognise that they can use that as a lever against you to get the hook out. So if you've got a GT with a couple of trebles in the jawline, it will just destroy any... there's no hook that hasn't been bent. There's 0 hooks that have not been bent on a GT because they'll just use the jaw leverage, and the same with bigger tuna as well. So if we hinge with a soft assist cord, as we saw earlier, I can turn that probably 3-4 times.
Yeah, about 5 times on the rear hook before it locks.
Which would never happen before it locks. So we find that we get a better hook hold because it's either in or it's out, and there's no lever points that they can use against you with a lure or any of the double hook if you get one in the back of the jaw. Whereas that, I mean, I know it's on a swivel, but that will bind up and...
And if that was a fixed hanger, you'd only get about half a turn before that locks up.
Yeah, so a fixed wire. I mean, we've seen, sort of wires ripped out of lures, even some of the bigger Orions and stuff like that.
I've seen this a lot on now in other styles of angling. I mean, the bass scene now, I've seen it. I mean, the piker boys starting to use wire assist.
It just works. You either get a really strong hook hold that is very flexible and won't come out, keep the tension. But the barbless is purely angler safety. Yes, I mean, it's a lot more fish friendly. The hooks just slip out. And again, when the skipper's got the leader and he's got the gaff and trying to unhook as well, fish are always unpredictable. It's safer for skipper, it's safer for us. I'll
show you a picture that somebody sent me today. They were, it was a bit...
they weren't fishing barbless. No,
it was a bit tongue-in-cheek, but it was...
But again, this is all stuff that...
The pros are at it again.
Ooh.
Unhooking fish.
Yeah, I was about to say, you can see the teeth marks in that.
Yeah.
And the amount of rash on that from tuna, and that was free tuna, and
That's one of the original chart boats as well, that is. Boggles my brain sometimes, some of the things that you see. And that was on social media. That did the range as part of a,
But things like that can have, and I don't want to go too negative in it, but can have such a negative effect in the long term.
Well, it's flying around WhatsApp groups. Oh, look, the pros are at it again. And you're like,
It is a tight industry. Everybody knows everybody. I personally wouldn't have put my hand in a tuna.
I wouldn't have even put that. I wouldn't let him post that picture. You know, that wouldn't have been anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, it's. Yeah. They made us do all these training courses and stuff when we got a
the T-bar and have.
Yeah. I've got to admit, I don't even use a T-bar. I'm using Bristow's on the stingers and on the Ahi heads and all these sorts of things. We get them alongside on the lit grips. I've got real low gunnels on my boat. I just lean over. It's in the scissors. Dink straight out.
Yes. And again with the barbless, it's just so easy just to slip out. The fish is instantly able to then recover. You're not spending 20 minutes with pliers or trying to
T-bar it out of it, pulling line
fist a tuna and get caught fisting a tuna.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Sure there's laws against that.
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
So your resources then, when you were starting up, were there any solid resources that you looked into for this sort of stuff, or was it literally it's that rabbit hole of once you get into this scene, there's...
I mean, it was gtpopping.com forum, a mine of information still there, a bit of it is out of date, but a lot of trip reports, a lot of tackle. So they've got GT specific, jigging specific for doggies, and also yellowfin, bluefin tuna fishing from the States.
Yeah.
You got things like Bloody Decks in the States, forum still going there, 360 tuna. So you'd be on American or Australian forums, because there's obviously nothing. There's nothing actually in Europe either, to be fair.
That's how I started.
Yeah.
Even though we were doing the bars and this sort of stuff, this wasn't even on my radar to start with.
Yeah.
I went to the holy grail of YouTube, started watching all these boys who were fishing for them, and then you're like, okay, now where do I go from this? And then you find this forum and this forum and this forum. Next thing, you're teaching yourself how to build bars and all the rest of it. You go
yeah. So we are fortunate. There's a lot more on the internet now, and there's a lot more out there. But I mean, even 10 years ago, Facebook sort of overtook from all of the forums and stuff. So we learnt a lot from each other. A lot of good anglers, and as Lures Only on Facebook is a really good forum to sort of be in as well, and a lot of Australian people, a lot of Americans as well, and a lot of European people now as well. But it was quite a tight, probably only about 4,000 people, but everybody travelled, everybody GT fished. Most people knew each other because, again, if you're going on a trip with Europeans, there's a couple of Germans I know, a couple of Dutch people, only a couple of people in the UK. But everybody, it's quite a tight-knit community. Fortunate enough to know some of the Australians. Fished when we did Papua New Guinea, fish with some Australians down there as well. Actually, I was talking to one of them the other day and saying, you should really get up here and come for bluefin. You get your southern bluefin tuna, but you're not getting them in the numbers, and you're certainly not getting the size. And they're like,
I've been trying to get a couple of the American boys over that I met at ICAST.
Yes.
I met Max, one of the Shimano guys, charter boat skipper, commercial tuna angler, Shimano ambassador, and I was showing him like the videos of the top water, and he was just like, no way.
It's like the American, fishery like 15 years ago. Yeah.
I was like, jump on a plane, get to Heathrow. I'll get you picked up from Heathrow. I'll sort out the hotel. Come spend 3-4 days down there. Spend a week if you want. Come fishing with us. Take yourself back over there. Let's promote this.
We do have a destination, don't we? A legitimate destination now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
I'd love to see where.
Tell anybody.
I'd love to see where it eventually leads. Because who knows? I mean,
Viking 64s.
Yeah.
I've already been looking at the next boat, ready for next year, where we're going to go with it, what we're going to use it for, deck space for slinging things. So you were quite lucky, like you're saying, like 3 guys on rotation, you're on a charter boat. I'm very much for the recreational fishery. The charter boats, they can do their thing, that's fine. I want to promote the recreational fishery.
Yeah.
That's what like next year, the big marketing push that we're going to have is promoting the recreational fishery and what it's got to offer. So like 2 guys on a boat on rotation on a nice bit of deck space, you can do this all day.
Or even just one casting and one on helm and just swap. Yeah,
it works really well. That's what Tim and Jack are doing. One's on the helm.
Yeah.
They steam up. Out goes the lure. That fish on.
Yeah.
That's done. Then they swap over. Tim's go and off they go. And that was off of, like I said, a Warrior 165. And some of the
going. That's good. I've had a Warrior before and hired one, and they're not big, so that's good going.
No, they're not at all. He was on the sort of limit for getting a license. What that boy has done with that boat, he fished the tuna comp with it. It was before he picked his pirate up. And we went into that tuna competition with the only 3 privateers on there. Everybody else was a charter boat.
Yes.
They all had paying customers on there, and we rocked up, did it out of our own pocket. And went against the guys that have got a head start. Well, technically got a head start on us
because they've been doing it for a few years.
Well, we might have been fishing as long as them, but you can't incriminate yourself too much. But You know, we've had this fishery here for a long time, and I've said it many, many times. If you listen to the government, you're onto a loss anyway. In when it's on your doorstep like it is, and we are respectful with what we're doing, we're catch and release anglers, that's all we're interested in doing. I never saw the problem with us target them. If those guys could target them for paying customers, why couldn't we do it off our boats? It was... I love this one. How would you work? What is this, and how would you work?
So that would be a typical floating stick bait, similar to that. That will be level, but again, it's sort of just long sweeps. So everything is long sweeps. Just think of it as golf swing, golf swing, golf swing. Yeah. Don't need the rod up. Don't need it all over. Just keep the lure working in the water, and you work it out pretty quickly. Obviously, gammers, and there's quite a steep learning curve, but most of these are quite easy. Oh yeah, absolutely. Just twin singles on the assists.
This is your go-to.
Yeah.
Because one of the rules in the fishery, one of the guidances was you can only have one single on, but it became a guidance in the end instead of an actual rule.
Yeah.
Because they've got all these silly ideas that this is going to happen, that's going to happen. Well, they do it all over the rest of the world. Why can't we do it?
And again, play by the rules, stick to it, barbless for your safety more than sort of fish welfare, and But again, if we talk about, here we go, that is an Amex soft plastic.
That's what the boys. I can't say we. That's what the boys have been using.
Yes,
doing lots of soft plastic stuff.
Yeah. So again, single hook. Quality lure does the job. Talking about the tuna comp as well. So we were actually out fishing the same day. Made a call because we wanted to go out early because we'd only got the one day because obviously the Sunday weather window had shut down on everybody.
Horrendous.
It's like, what? Oh, we actually got 4 days booked and we only got out on the Saturday. So we decided we weren't going to do the comp. Go out mega early, and I think we had already landed a fish by about 8:30, which turned out to be the wrong decision because I think on that particular day we hooked 11, landed 7. I think we had a 44, 47, 250s, 67, 69, 71.
That wouldn't have won it.
No, but it would have put us second.
Ooh, I don't think it would have.
It did. It put us second. We were 2 inches short of the winner.
What did Sam won it? He was on... They were measuring 60s. I'll have to look at the measurements again.
Yeah, I looked at all the scores and went, actually, we would have come second, and we dropped 2 80-inch fish, 1 barbless hooks. So they had to take probably about 12 foot from the boat, hit the lure, didn't hook, and I can only describe it as like a swamp donkey. The whole fish came out the water and almost belly flopped on the lure like a pig and just went boom, boom. And then I had it on for about a minute, just the first run, the good fun bit. So, and then it just came unbuttoned. And then
where were you fishing? Down by the Dogman?
I don't know, just the other side of the Manacles. So we weren't.
Oh right, okay,
too far out.
A little bit west. Okay.
Yeah, just a bit further. We did drift further down towards Land's End and that way, just down to the Lizard that way, so we could see the Lizard, but we weren't massively out far.
There's a lot of fish out there that day. On that
Tens of thousands. So we did really well. 7 fish landed. We set record for the smallest fish at 44 inches, which was, perfectly manageable. Sam then set the record for the shortest fight, which was under 4 minutes on a 47. That was on a G. It just literally came up. It was so green. It was like, quick, get the hook out. It disappeared. But yeah, we had a great time, including a couple of newbies. But again, if you've got experienced people that can show you how to handle the rod, were
you part of a did you do your book exclusive booking and just take some lads with you, or you?
Yeah, so myself and Sam have been doing this for years. So I talked to Stuart. So I'm building rods for Stuart at the moment. He sort of came over to me, sort of saw all the lures and in my little sort of rod building sort of workshop and stuff like that. So we talked about it. We booked the 4 days back to back, going, yes, we'll come down and do it because he's set up for it and wanted to sort of promote the casting as well. So we just got lucky, but it was an epic day.
Are you building them for his own personal fishing side of things?
Yes, but he's also got his own shop and stuff like that as well. So it's mostly big game rods and stuff like that. But yeah, shout out to Jason. So Jason makes these, Namex lures. So one of the newbies was fishing this, and when you just come to the end of your cast and you're skipping your lure back, he had a solid sort of, I think he had the 67 actually. He had the 67 take that out of the water. He was just skipping it back and it hit out of the water. So it came out the water about 5 foot from the boat, hit it, engulfed the lure, buried him, almost turned on a dime, 180 degrees, and then porpoised back out and absolutely just railed him on the bow. Hence why I've replaced the first 2 rings, because I got a bit knackered on the bow. But yeah, we got it landed. But yeah, it was something like that. You'll never forget. You'll never forget that, and it's probably ruined his bass fishing for the rest of his life, because you'll never take that visual imprint of 100, 75, 80 kilos of meat, snatching that out the air.
I think that's what we got to pinch ourselves, isn't it? You think all those years ago, if you'd thought that you could be sat off the end of Brixham and look out to sea and see some of the sights we're now seeing, it's just crazy, isn't it? It's mental to think that we've got this here now.
I was out there on Sunday. I was out there with Ben, and he's jumping around from boat to boat. And he looked at me and he went, "You've been out here too much. You don't even look excited." I am excited, but I'm not worried. I'm trying to line us up and work out where we're about to go and fish and what we're trying to do. I'm thinking about it from a different perspective to what he was looking at. He was out there not looking at it from the first time, but actually fishing for him like that. And he's just like, "Why aren't you excited?" I was like, "I am. I'm trying to line us up on the fish. Like, I'll be excited.
Trying to concentrate. I'm on the helm. I'm busy.
I'm trying to sort this side of it out. But this year's been amazing, because it's the first year we haven't had to look over our shoulders. We can just go fishing. Yeah. You know, we've got that ticket. We can just go fishing. We can do what we want to do. Yeah. Whereas having to go, what's that boat over there? Right, let's just disappear. And, you know, you're leaving fish because there's a boat turning up and you're like, okay, we're just going to push off further. Yeah. And it's equated into our best season ever. It's been nuts.
I think what was really cool for me was to see the community side when we were out the other day, like how there was like 1 point, like 5 or 4 boats together.
All fishing tuna gear.
Yeah, all fishing tuna gear, but no animosity, no attitude.
They're just on the radio. I'm hooked up, right, I'll get out your way.
It was really...
arsehole casting those lures at me. Who, what?
Yeah, it was... the
vibe was shit hot out there, and it was amazing. There was no like cutthroat. Oh, I've got to get that bust up before they get onto it. Everything was just so.
Well, we turned away a few times. We were fishing, and Matt Forrester was out there on Silver Halo.
Yes,
charter boat, got paying customers on. And there's a couple of times we're going for fish, and I've just turned the other way and gone. He's got paying customers on board.
Yeah,
you know, I'll just go back down over here. There's some fish over here. I've just got the boys on. They've paid £1,000 to go fishing.
Yeah.
We've just jumped on my boat and gone fishing, you know. It makes no difference. It's we just got out there.
I think that's why we went down a bit. It's like Tuna Comp Falmouth. We'll come out a bit out the way, and there's plenty of fish for everybody. There's lots of room, and it worked out to be a great day. I'm absolutely itching to get back down here.
Have you not fished out of Tall Bay yet?
No.
Well, we're in the middle of putting Tall Bay on the map properly, because I am fully. We've got a better fishery up here. There's so many. They've got a lot of fish down there. I haven't been that impressed with the sizes. Sam Narbit will probably slaughter me if he ever hears this. But
perfect casting size. I mean, again, you know, if you're learning the craft and you don't want to go and hook a 200 kilo.
It's exactly what I'm going to hook.
Well, yeah, that's what we're aiming for. You know, if you're not used to it and you're on your first trip, you know, a 50 kilo or a 75 is more than enough to give you some beans. I mean, even the 44 inches, you know, still pulling line and still pulling drag and still going. It's just a lot more manageable than the gear, because we're gearing up for the bigger fish. But that's the joy of it. We've got smaller fish. If you want to target the bigger fish, you know where they are. You know how to target them. You've got that opportunity. So when we come back down in December, it's colder water. They're going to fight harder. We're hoping they're a bit fatter, a bit more conditioned. So
the smaller ones would have probably gone off a little bit. We find them a bit more temperature sensitive.
Okay.
So like November, we're going into big fish territory now. Although, yes, the last 2 years we've had a lot of smaller fish. Last year, commercially, we caught all our bigger fish through November and into December.
Yeah, so we're down at the end of December. Fingers crossed for the weather, because it is the UK. You know, we don't.
December was horrendous last year. Yes. We've just been through our good weather window, which has turned up about 2 weeks later than it did last year. Yeah. And then most of November, I think we got.
It was a write-off, wasn't it? I mean, on the bass front, for me, it was fucking diabolical.
I think we got about 6 or 7 trips in November, and then they extended the season for us commercially. We were supposed to end a week before the chart season ended, and they gave us to the 31st of December because not enough quota, and nowhere near enough quota had been caught. Yeah. But the weather was horrendous.
Yeah, so fingers crossed we get to the end of December.
What date are you down?
28th and 29th.
Oh yeah, you're going to be okay. Yeah,
pushing it right.
Yeah. How come? What those dates? Were they the only ones available?
No, just work availability. So it's myself, Sam, and Jack's coming down, and it's just trying to work and get work organised and get stuff done.
There's every chance. Every chance.
Yeah,
we saw them in February. We were out on one of the wrecks in Badoosh.
That wasn't a ling.
Yeah. What was that? And I was waiting for the dolphin to come up.
Yeah.
And there's just nothing. And you're like, and I stopped fishing. And I was just I was waiting for it to come up. And then probably about a mile down the road, you could just see the water starting to flick a bit. And you're like, they're still here.
Yeah, we did find some interesting stuff actually, because again, sort of looking at the lures and scaling down, and whilst this isn't a finesse approach by any circumstances, we were seeing like really small bait and they were really keyed into the bait. So we found when the tide slackened off and they're just doing that sipping on the surface.
Paid attention.
Yeah, not as active. So again, soft plastics and the jigs work better because they're dropping, you're motoring up the boats. Typical to some of the stuff I've done for yellowfin tuna, you get too close on long-tailed tuna, you get too close.
They just drop down 50
metres. Drop down 50 metres. So jigs, soft plastics. But again, there's certain ways they fish for this in the Med and Spain and France. And whilst it isn't that much of a secret, but it involves bombarder, water floats and really small 2-inch soft plastics on a live bait hook and you slow retrieve, almost like a figure of 8 trout retrieve. But so we got a couple of tricks that we'll try next year. So next year we're probably going to do a couple of trips a month and then just see if we can bring a few more people in and sort of open it up and say, look, if you want to come and fish, Louis and George shared half a rod, so myself and Sam paid full whack, and then they shared, so there's only ever 3 of us casting. So we're going to open it up and see if we can get a few more people that may have bass fish that want to give it a try.
Has anyone brought the 16 weights out yet and had a try from it? Do we know of?
That's a really good point. So next year we are going to try and fly fish for them. So
because those big 16 weights,
we had that conversation the other day.
You want to see what they do abroad? I mean,
so I'd say a 16 weight probably isn't heavy enough. So I'm going to cheat a bit and build myself a P10 stick bait rod as a fly rod.
Just pitch to them, yeah.
Yeah, just as you say, roll cast and pitch because again, 150 pound leader and you know exactly what you can present.
You look at those P&G black bass boys that are fishing in the trees using exactly that, popping rods just made into a fly rod because they need to just haul ass.
Yeah, exactly. And lock the drag. I mean, obviously you're not going to get the same retrieve, but again, a true fly caught bluefin tuna in the UK is a reality.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And yourself, you can get within 10 yards of them when they're on the feed and going.
They were hitting the boat, weren't they?
They're going around the. You're like, why are you not taking my?
We were opening day of the season. It was the Sunday, so second day of the season. I've got my line wrong. I didn't realise the way that they were moving towards us. Yeah. So by the time I've got alongside them, they've moved to the boat. Because normally I stay off the side and we come around them. Next thing, they're hitting the boat as they're coming up the side of it. A fly caught is a proper reality, especially when the washing machine's going off.
Yes.
End of August, early September.
I've never seen anything like that before in my life. We caught one. That's where the 71 came from. I managed to get that right in the middle. Just close your eyes and just wind. But
some of that footage, pull up the Instagram, Aaron, if you wouldn't mind.
No. I'll show you some.
You might have some better footage. I've got some longer videos. I just haven't been able to upload them. So
I'll show you some.
I will get them all up and do a proper report, trying to get it hacked away.
You can see in the background of that video, it's just like, what the fuck?
We are extremely privileged to have a fishery with tens and tens of thousands of solid fish that.
It's a minute long. Just watch that. Here, I'll take the phone.
Yes.
Just wait. That's nothing.
Oh, you got drone footage as well.
Yeah. So we've been doing loads of drone stuff. Yeah. Me, I've brought on Aaron, who does all the drone work and videography work now.
So Aaron Barrett.
Yeah, Barrett. Yeah. Absolutely sick photographer. Loves his underwater stuff, his drone footage. We were doing some promotional stuff yesterday with the bars down in Falmouth, and we got a full take on the bars. You see the fish come up, grab the stinger.
Just incredible. As it's just gone past and through.
Watch this bit in a minute now.
Yeah, I was just looking at the density of.
Yeah. No one's got footage like this at the moment.
Nobody's got a fishery like this at the moment, apart from us. Yeah.
Unreal, isn't it?
Yeah.
But notice how those fish are coming in off the back.
Yes.
You want to pick your angle. That's where you want to be.
Yeah, to the outside. So, so GT fishing, we'll always not try and land the lure in the bait fish because the bait fish will blow up and then you've blown it. So you're always trying to sort of cast round the bait fish.
We find the problem as well, if you go into it, even with your bars, that bar disappears, those fish are steaming through with their mouths open.
Yeah.
And that's where you get your line separation in problems happening. It goes back into the pack. Yeah. And if you can pick them off before they're in that pack,
we did have one line cut as well, just straight through. So, obviously where the braid transitions into the leader, just hit it.
Happens.
Yeah,
they've got teeth.
Straight. Oh yeah, just 170. Just straight through.
But again, well, we've had it with 400-pound mono.
Yeah.
They've hit it and they've just gone straight through it.
Yeah.
It's nuts. They're powerful creatures.
Yeah. Talking leaders as well. I mean, again, sort of rigging a little bit different. So we talked about FG knots. We know, sort of Lord of the knots, as we call it, that came from GT fishing that a lot of bass fishermen use now as well. So we tend to try and be as bomb-proof as possible. So we always, whilst it isn't great because it's a flatter braid, we always fish hollow core braid. So you'll splice back a loop about an inch, about a foot back. And then you can buy these or you can make them yourself. It's just like a served leader. So it's a bit of a serve, similar to the way you just poke it up there. Yeah, and then we just do a loop-to-loop or a cat's paw. But it means that we've got a solid no-knot connection. Yes, we've got a knot on the end of the swivel, but in my mind,
for sure,
the less knots, the less weak points. As you put in full weight and, running 15 to 20, 22 kilos of drag, you got full weight back on it. You don't want your knots to pop.
No.
So we tend to use those, and they're pretty bulletproof. But to be fair, I'm probably going to next year up to about £200. So I don't think the leader and the finesse approach was a problem. It was just, being able for the skipper to grab the leader and sort of get the fish under control was a lot easier.
Not pussyfoot around with it, just take control of the situation.
You got confidence, you got £200, so we will
go. The boys have gone up to £200 fluoro now.
Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do next year. Yeah.
And I guess you're in a process of eliminating every little percentage when it comes to this. Yeah. So these little points do make a difference in the end game. Yeah.
It is. It's like the GT mindset. If there's a weak point, the GT will find it because whilst it's a shorter fight, it's not as intense physically wise, but it is a bigger hit.
Yeah,
it's a bigger stress on the tackle, and they will just try and bury you in those first seconds into the reef. So it's literally like lock and hold sort of style fight. So it is a bit different from tuna fishing. But you can't beat those long burning runs on your reel. You just can't beat it.
Yeah.
It's exciting stuff. I mean, I know you've said like next year it's on. And I just can't wait to see it develop. It's so exciting. Like you've said, I mean, yes, this has been going around for a long, long time. But as a UK fishery, we're literally opening the door now, and it's dead exciting.
It's a good time. We've got stuff that we can use. We know, people have tried and done this. Yes, I know we're learning, and it's all new to the UK. But this year is almost like the test year. It's the first time we've had a proper recreational sort of casting fishery. Next year, gloves are off. It's the 200 kilo fish. Then we'll up it to 250, and then we'll see. But as we said earlier, sort of the biggest that I know about is 106 inches caught by Captain Dom over in the States. And that was about an hour and a half fight time on 18k tuna rod. So it is doable, but that's a big fish, big fish.
It is a big fish. That's a
powerful
fish.
Yeah, they're here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And not one or two.
Yeah. So you won't be long before you start seeing Japanese anglers come over. Because again,
it's got to be a destination. We've got to. I mean, all over the world, you can go destination fishing, and then what we have here, if our government allows, is world leading, world class.
So actually, last year we saw Mogi-san runs Mogi Pro Shop, so very famous fisherman of this sort of pioneered the jigging style, speed jigging style in Japan. So he's been over fishing in Ireland with Adrian Malloy and those guys. So you would have seen a lot of sort of shorter rods like the sort of big tuna 70s. Again, the Zenak as well, sort of fishing very similar. But you got to remember, Japanese people are a lot smaller than us. 70 kilos, 75 kilos, not as physical as we are, and certainly not as physical as the Americans. But they're giving it a good go. But Mogi-san, I know, is travelling over to fish with Adrian every year because they're looking for that 300 kilo fish.
Well, you've seen it. I mean, you've said many times you see it being a fucking proper destination.
Yeah.
And why can't it be?
It should be. I've had some conversations with some of the main skippers in the fleet. It should be people flying in to Exeter and Newquay Airport, blacked out Range Rovers waiting for them, coming down here onto proper game boats, not, you know, there's some very good skippers out there, but on the older style of boat. Yeah. Those anglers that we're trying to bring in don't want to be on those. No. They want a legit big game boat to be on, like a nice Rodman Pro or something like that.
Or a Viking.
Yeah, Viking. That's what they're after.
Yeah.
That's not the fishery I'm interested in any way, shape or form. Whoever wants to run with that can run with that. I want to see the private boys doing it. I want to see the lads who've got their own boats, because we can mix it with those boats all day long, as we proved down in Falmouth. Although my fishing was absolutely horrendous, Dave Mordecai proved the point perfectly that, you know, we can do exactly what they can do, and we don't have to have paying customers on our boats. We go and do it. We do it for the love of it. Yeah. I'm not saying those skippers don't love it, but it's a business to them at the end of the day.
Yes, it's a livelihood. You've got to
this
pay
is
your mortgage.
What we want to do. We have to pay our mortgages, and we want to go and do exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, tuna fishing a year, I hate to think what it costs me. You know, just having my boat on the marina is £4,500 a year. Then my fuel bill.
Think about it.
In the last 2 trips, I've done £500 worth of fuel.
Yeah.
This year so far.
It's not America with, you know, sort of like $2 a gallon or something like that.
Yeah, we're canning it in from the garages, because if you want to buy it from the fuel barge, it's $1.97 a litre.
Yeah.
So we're canning this stuff in.
It's more than that in Falmouth where we.
I've got an account, so it's cheaper too. It would be $2.23.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, $2.23. I've got an account on the Dartmouth fuel barge, so it's like $1.97.
Yeah, in the middle of the river.
Get my VAT back, but when you can go to the pump and get $1.61 for super unleaded and get your VAT back.
Yeah.
But I'm lucky the guys down there turn a blind eye to me turning up with 12 25 litre cans in the white
Just do it at 4 in the morning when it's not busy.
I'll go down there at 8 o'clock at night. I keep getting free coffees off of them because I spend so much. The other day I went down, I got a free coffee and a Snickers Duo, because it's the 3rd time I've been in there that week. Like, my boat's got a 380 litre fuel tank, and I'm like, we just go through it. Although my boat's very fuel efficient, we fish a lot. Yeah. Like, me and Dave are giggling about every time we come in, how many litres you done today? 200?
Enough.
Yeah. 200 litres just running around on our doorstep.
Yeah, we aren't the cheapest country to run big boats, but you know, we will.
Yeah, my boat's only 24 foot with a 200 Honda on the back, and I'm still burning through all of that. It's
because this style of fishing demands it. You got to run and gun. You got to find. You got to travel more. You know, you're not trolling at 3 knots and doing a constant, you know, sort of like mile per gallon. You've got to. It's busting over there, right? We need 25 knots. Hammer it. We need to get there quick before it disappears.
But even with the trolling side of it, it's just say we are trolling for the day. We'll have a couple of fish and be like, "Oh, these aren't big enough." In comes all the gear. Right, let's run offshore.
Let's go and find some.
Let's go and find. Let's go and find. Let's go and find. At the end of every trip, we always end up down at Start Point, watching the big girls down there smashing out, getting the gar.
Yeah.
Or half beat souries. Yeah, souries.
Fucking unreal, wasn't
it? yeah. It's nuts.
Some of those fish 2 weeks ago when we went out. Just unbelievable.
So who's going to do the first shore caught?
Well, I don't think it's a sensible thing to do, because I don't think you can recover it and get it back.
That's good. Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't think you can recover it.
No, you can't.
No. I was having a guy messaged me the other day who's got a lure brand, asking me these questions, and I just went, man, you can't recover the fish. Like, I want the fish to go back.
Yeah.
So how are you going to get the water back over the gills of that fish when you? No, it's not going to happen. You're going to have a boat. You're going to need at least a little inflatable waiting on the rocks that you can get into, get that fish on it,
and then tow it,
and get it back out. It's never going to. That fish ain't going to go back.
If we get a quota to take fish, then it's a reality.
Different, whole different thing. But as a recreational thing at the moment, I just don't think it's a doable thing.
No, you're right.
And we've got a lot of obstacles as well. There's a lot of obstacles on our headlands, aren't there? I mean, buoys, rocks.
Yeah, everything's potted.
And you.
There's a couple of lads that have been trying it down at Start, and they've been drifting baits out there, and they've hooked up, and they're just getting spooled.
Yeah.
So now you've got a fish swimming around with 400 yards of line out of its gob. It will split that hook pretty quickly.
Yeah.
We know that because I had one of my bars trawled up, and I had lost it, but one of my bars ended up in Brixton Fish Quay where it's been trawled up. So somebody's obviously got snapped off at some point. There's no tuna attached to the end of it. But they've spat that hook in, the whole bar came up, looking in very good condition for something that had been trawled up off the bottom.
Have you resold it?
I never got it back. Oh. Yeah, never got it back. It was just getting paraded around like, look what come up. Because my mate messaged me, he's like, one of your bars is on the key. I went, how do you know it's mine? It's got a Tuna Gear logo on the boat.
So you can't really miss it.
Yeah. But, you know, that is a reality of what happens. And I've always been super conscious about that, especially this year. One of my biggest fears, me and Aaron, I spoke to Aaron about it, is a tuna washing up on a beach with a bar hanging out of its mouth. You're going to get slaughtered. But they spit hooks. After what I've seen with, you know, the way that they can spit these, even with the barbed ones. Yeah. They're coming out.
Yeah, they will. Yeah, they will. Absolutely. There's, you know, even barbed hooks will still come out.
Yeah, they'll come out. It works quite a big hole in the side of the scissors quite quickly. Yeah. In that hole will.
Yeah, again, sort of losing fish, and you know, I've lost GTs with just them rolling over boat side. Somebody's missed with the gaff. It's just rolled over, and just even two big 8-0 barbless trebles just slipped out as if they were never there.
Happened to me on the tournament. We're winding. This fish is coming in on the bar.
Yeah.
Dom came out with 2 left-handed leader gloves. Went back into the cabin to get the other ones, and I'm going bar, and it's swimming straight at the boat, and it's come right up to the top of the tips, and the fish it's just gone slack, and it's just gone gone.
Yeah, it'll just slip out.
Yeah, gone, and that's a 9-0 Bristow wedged in there. You know, those things are like boat anchors, and it still just spat it, and off it went. As soon as that line goes slack, it gives.
That was the 85-incher that would have placed you.
Well, it would just been a little bit less embarrassing, to be honest, than what happened. But you know, that's fishing. Next year we'll turn up and win it. But you know, that's
the thing, isn't it? You can have a system, you can have it until you're out in the water, and then suddenly you come out with 2 left-handed gloves, and it's like.
Yeah, we should have had. We should have had the gloves. We should have had the gloves where they always live, underneath my plotter, and you just grab them straight off the side and off you go. But we've gone out like everyone's buzzing and you're doing this, and I've prepped everything. Like we've done a video on it, and I'm on the boat in the morning. Aaron comes down with the camera and he's like, "Is everything ready?" And I'm like, fully loaded, tuna machine, showing him around the boat. Like, I've just had all my outriggers fitted on there, and I didn't even get my leadering gloves out and put them in the place where they always live on my boat.
Always the little things.
Because they fit perfectly underneath my chart plotter. Because how my boat is, it's basically a centre console with a 2-berth cabin on it. So I can just, where you're on the deck, I can just turn around and go, grab, on my gloves, and I'm good to go. And then I
hang left hands. It's just like.
Well, I've got 2 sets of gloves on the boat in case, because you know what it's like. You lose one. I've always got a backup set. And then at the end of the day, I hang them on my steering wheel because they always get wet, and they dry out on my wheel. Come back out, put them back under my chart plotter. I have it. It's the same thing you were talking about with your kit being organised. I come from carp fishing. I had a thinking angler's rucksack. I could shut my eyes, open that rucksack out and just go, there's that bit, that pocket's got that bit in, that pocket's... Exactly. But I tried to have the boat the same way, although it's been an absolute mess recently, because I've just done so much fishing.
It's having the system, when you're under pressure, the stuff going on, you got a 200-kilo fish thrashing around.
We're in a tournament, we've hooked up early. I'm one of the main sponsors for it. I've been chirping off the night before about how we're going to win it. You know what I'm like. 5 pints of Stella. 5 pints of Stella. You know.
The thing that would have told
it. They had it in Falmouth last night, mate.
I mean, if we'd had the 2 weather windows, we would have entered if we'd got the 2 days at it. But we just didn't know what we were going to do on the casting. But next year, we're going to be there next year. And we'll be ready next year.
Do you think they'll have more than one moving forward? Or do you think
I want to do Tuna Masters. I want to do the Tuna Masters, Falmouth, Plymouth, Torquay, festival in each.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, this goes back, as we said, about the whole destination piece. You know, if we peel it back to the 50s, you know, there's iconic pictures
Tunny Club.
Yeah, exactly, in Scarborough. And
have you read the book?
I have, yes.
The hardback. I've got it. It is a super interesting read.
At one point in time, I had the opportunity to buy some of the original gear, one of the harnesses and one of the big reels and stuff. It was going for about $2,500 on it.
Well, one came up recently, didn't it?
Yeah.
I'm sat on the auction site and I was thinking,
nobody's going to bid on this.
I'm thinking $3,000 to $5,000. I'm going to buy it. It's going to go up in my workshop. And that rod and reel went for like 47 grand.
Yes.
It disappeared off to the States, never to be seen again.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't even.
So that all comes back to iconic pictures of John Wayne fishing for tuna in Scarborough with the gear and catching, 800, 900 pounders. In fact, actually, I think The women, have I got this right? The women's record is £891. Was caught off Brighton. Just off the marina. Yeah, so
I've got there's some iconic shots in that book that I've got of women out there fishing for them.
Yeah.
Because they used to get on the herring boat.
Yeah.
Go out.
Yeah.
And they'd have a couple of young lads, they'd get in a skiff.
Yes.
And the lads would row and they'd free line herring off the back of the nets, and that's how they used to catch them. Because it's still the English line caught record is Lorenzo, can't remember his surname, and it's like 800 and whatever it is pounds, because we haven't, for whatever reason, we haven't recognised. I know, because those measures on those tapes are out by probably about £100. They're well out.
Yeah. So we're talking American sizing chart versus our UK fish.
So we've got a tape measure that we use. We've got it down the side of our boats. We had one in charts. We had one on the side of the boat for commercials last year. And you get it on, you run because we had to record the length of what we call, all the rest of it. And you run this tape over it and you go, oh, that's £220. You get it to the side of the dock, 150, 140, something like that. So those tapes make them heavy.
So it is a bugbear of mine, and I'd sort of suspected this because I know the American fish are a lot more well-conditioned, they're bigger bait, they're a lot fatter, that obviously we're using an American inch conversion chart, so I think our fish are significantly lighter.
Yeah.
And
you pull up a 65-inch fish, it says it's £200. Yeah. Realistically, it's 120 to 140. Yeah.
So I've noticed that a lot with some of the Facebook stuff.
We don't put our measurements up. We'll say we've had a 65, a 72, an 84. That's how we do it. We go with the length.
Don't go, that's a 450 pounder, and you look at it and you're like,
I don't think it is. But the thing is, the lads don't know over here.
Yeah.
They haven't looked at enough fish to go. And I'm no expert on it in any way, shape, or form. Just from being able, because the lads can't put them on the deck. They're not going back and having them weighed, are they? No. So all they've got is that conversion rate on that chart. I would only have known that because last year we were landing fish commercially, that I got the opportunity to be able to measure them, take them back to the quay, hang them up and go, well, that's light.
Because we'll scale, right?
Yeah, because we'll get the measure, we'll get the weights back in with what they sold for, with the price per kilo. And you're like, well, hang on a second, we thought we'd put £800 worth of meat in there, and you're at like 600 and something. And it's like,
I had suspecting, I was sort of looking at it going, they don't look quite as big as some of the fish I've seen. It's like, so I'd always sort of go, it's a 71 inch, it's around 200, 225 pounds. Yeah, that's it. But you do see quite a lot of sort of quite wild estimates.
I think that came from the way of putting it. Not talking down the chart thing with what they've done, but that came from the chart boys. Because all they had was a tape.
And all you've got is a US conversion because it's girth and length, and that's what happens with American fish.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
These are longer, leaner, travelled a lot harder.
You look at the gill plate on some of these fish, and you look at that gill plate and go, you'll tell me that's a £500 fish, and you're like, I don't think it is. But there's a YouTube video that's up from one of these chart boats, and he literally, they've just measured this fish. He gets this book out and goes, £450, shuts the book, puts it down, and you're like, I think it's... But it is what it is, we will adapt and but that's one of the things I'd like to see more of, less of a numbers game and less of, it's the weight, it should be the size of the fish. Yeah. Like he said, the biggest one on spinning gear, 106 inches. Yeah. That is a much better thing to go on than someone going, it's £700. How do you know that's £700?
Unless it was killed, weighed, and it's in the record.
Exactly right.
Then,
it has to be done on length.
But 106 is still a fucking big fish.
Oh, it's a big fish.
Can you imagine? Oh, fucking hell.
Opening day of the season on Dave's boat, we had a 94. First fish. We were coming down past Salcombe, and we were heading for Plymouth, and we were banging in. There's 4 of us in a Quicksilver 675, and they got on the seats first, so I'm sat on the fridge, and it's just bang, bang, bang. And Dave stopped. He just went, "It's going to be blowing off in about an hour. Let's just sit here for a bit." And I was like, "Well, let's just throw the bars out and let's have a slow tow for Plymouth." He's like, "Yeah, sounds." So we chucked out 2 bars, sub 5 minutes. Bah!
That's a big fish.
Yeah, it's a good way to open the season.
Yeah. When was that? Sort of start of August, middle of August?
That was first day of the season, which was 7th of August, I think it was, opening day. It's been a bit of a blur, to be honest. We've done a lot of fishing this year, which is...
There's a lot of planning now going into next August, September and October to make sure we've got weekend dates, we've got everything lined up.
September's the one.
Yeah.
September. For us, up here, September is that month. Where
it's also outside of holiday season, so everything Airbnb-wise for us is cheaper as well. Because obviously we're
it's a
travelling
terrible
down,
thing. I just get up out of my house,
drive
10 minutes down to the marina, get on my boat,
stay in pyjamas with my slippers
go
on.
to sea. Just go to sea. It's a perfect thing.
Yeah.
I was having this conversation with my wife recently. We've had these moments this year with what we've done with the brand. These like little pinch me moments where you're like, I never thought that would happen. I was talking to her about it and she was like, can you remember, we're still living in our old house. I loved wicked tuna. Like, I'm heavily carp fishing, but I'm just engrossed in wicked tuna. And she's like, you'd be sat there with your hands down your pants on the sofa talking to me about how you're going to go to America and go tuna fishing.
Yeah.
Here I am, 9 years later, 10 years later, with my own tuna brand, with a license on my boat, getting to talk to people about tuna in our waters.
Pick up the phone and get onto Dave, what's his face?
Marciano. He follows me.
Dave, get on a flight to England, mate. Come and have a go.
I've messaged him a couple of times.
Yeah.
Because he'd be a good one to get over to try and promote this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Because I don't know
how he'd get his boat over here, but he could try.
I'll get him over here. We don't need his boat. We can sort boats out. That's fine. That was my thought with like Tuna Masters. Imagine having Dave Marciano giving out the prizes at the Torquay event. You know, it's just like...
As we talked earlier, it's like the chop down on the palm trees. We'll have to do it in Dartmouth instead or something.
They haven't chopped the palm trees down.
The Torquay ones, the ones on the front there, the postcard ones, they chopped them all down.
When did they do that?
Last year.
I don't go to Torquay. Paintings where it's at.
There was a big kick-off about it, and then it was done like...
the papers up our end as well.
Under committee, and it was never brought to like the public's attention, and they just went and locked them all down.
Yeah, well, that's council and government in one, isn't it? It's just a corrupt dictatorship. It's not even a thing, is it?
Mental, isn't it?
So we moved the tournament down to Falmouth thing. I'm sure they've got some palm trees.
Farmers.
But no, I mean exactly. So we got the capability. We got the fishery. It's just it needs to be developed. It needs to be sort of nurtured and looked after. But there'll be Japanese anglers over. In fact, there's actually a few I've been messaging, and some of my crew have been messaging. So I wouldn't be surprised if we got some of the sort of Australian YouTube stars over. Wouldn't be surprised if we had quite a few Japanese travelling anglers as well. So it will start picking up and developing.
Did you find that, obviously, with your trip out there, obviously it's affected you? Did you find that it instantly was like, right, we need to plan this, I need to get things going straight away? It got the juices going?
As soon as that was the slightly frustrating thing with the licence allocations. It's like, we didn't know if we were going to be able to have a recreational fishery this year until literally last minute. And it took Deborah a bit of time to work out. And exactly. That's like, oh, wow, okay. Maybe you could have planned a bit better and made a decision in February, because then it would have allowed everybody to plan and get boats booked and get sorted. And, so it was all a bit last minute. So hopefully next year we do it a bit earlier. I'm going to book the dates anyway on the premise that we have a catch and release fishery.
Because you've already got a ticket, do you get an automatic one next year, or is it a reallocation again? Yeah.
Reallocation again. I will be... alongside our good friend Mr. Locker, pushing fresher shark fishing. If they do not give me a licence next year, there will be I'll just be out there fishing. I don't care.
So it did sound like a bit of a lottery this year, because I know there was a lot of boys our way that missed out.
I will counter that completely.
Okay.
I put my application in, and I got an email back from them saying I'd made a mistake on my application. Could I confirm this? So if it was a lottery, why they'd just go, well, there's one less we've got to deal with.
That's true. It's true.
And if you look at where the allocation of licences went, a lot of them are in Devon and Cornwall, where they rightly should be. Yeah. Next year, I think there will be more going up the coast, because as we know at the moment, they're off of Brighton, they're off of Dover, they're off of...
There's also a lot of people with the marinas that you can travel your boat with. So I know there's a lot of people at our end, sort of West Sussex way and Brighton way, that wanted to move boats down for
That's
the
what
season.
John's done from Sea Fishing.
Yeah, it's the same with Stuart. Yeah. So you move down Premier Marinas and move your boat down and move it down for 2 weeks, but if you haven't got a licence, you can't. So
yeah.
But then obviously when we talked earlier with some of the tickets being handed back in,
Yeah, there was 6 that came back from Wales.
Yeah, exactly. Were they reallocated or just...
I met one of the lads that got them. Adrian in Salcombe. He bought a load of gear off me. He got one of those Welsh tickets.
Oh, so at least they've been reallocated.
So there was 20... So we did a Freedom of Information Act search. There was 79 applications for private licences this
pretty
season.
good.
So 79 went in, and 20, just under 30 were issued. I think there was something like circa 80 was available in total, including the charter fleet.
Yes, yeah.
But then the original chart boys took 24 of those. Then it was the new chart boats, and then like our commercial boat from last year, we didn't get our commercial license renewed. 5 didn't get them renewed. Yeah. Wouldn't give them a reason why, we just didn't get it. Played by the rules, caught quota, did all the things that we should have done. No infringements, no nothing. But they gave us a charter license on that boat as a backup. They went, you can just go charter fishing. Said, we don't want to go charter fishing. We want to go commercial fishing. It was a bit of a blessing in disguise because I got a recreational license, and I'd much rather be recreationally catch and release fishing than I would be. Yeah. It was good for me last year. I got to do some stuff. They had all the other, my competitors' bars on their boats, so I got to turn up with my prototype stuff that I had been using and fish them against everybody else's. I didn't pay any fuel all year, didn't do anything. I just got to go tuna fishing for free. It was absolutely wicked. But this year I wouldn't have wanted to do it.
So whilst we're talking products and brand, are you going to develop and then start moving more into the recreational, this sort of stuff? Are you going to start offering something different?
Yes. So we're already talking to like Molossi.
Yes.
Talking to Siren.
Yes, Jason.
Talking to a few of these different people, and then my plan is, without giving it all away from everybody,
Ron's, because you can't get these in the UK. There's nobody bringing these into Europe. In fact, you can't get them anywhere in Europe.
We're going to have a massive. To get Tuna Gear off the ground has been a massive investment. You're talking 2 rental houses I could have bought instead, but I've done this. I'm going to pull that money down again. Every penny we've made from Tuna Gear this year has gone back in.
Just reinvest.
It's gone back in. It's gone back into mainly the content creation. What you'll see sat in here.
We're all staring at Aaron in the corner.
Yeah. Like it's gone back into. It's gone back into. I want to promote the fishery.
Yes.
Me and Aaron were sat up at Start Point the other day for 5 hours trying to get that tuna shot that I got of it coming out. Nailing.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw the picture.
I did, with the gar.
Yeah. 5 hours that shot took.
Yeah.
And I've got a videographer on a 3-day-a-month retainer to come and do all this stuff.
Yeah.
Plus editing. That stuff's
fuel,
not cheap.
Plus
my boat, plus this, plus that, all these sorts of things. All that money's gone straight back into the brand again. We've got some, we've brought out, I've got some stuff that hasn't even hit the website yet. We're doing. We've done a deal. We've got the distribution for Salter Lures. There's another company I'm talking to at the moment, trying to get exclusivity on the UK with their stuff. Like I said, Molossi, Siren. I've reached out to a couple of the. Who's the other one? Jigger. What are they called? You put them onto those. They got those garfish lures. You sent it to me. I can't remember the name of them now. I'm still learning it. Anyway, there's another one we've been.
Mine's blank.
You were sending me.
Jackfin, but Terry.
Jackfin. We've been looking at their stuff. To be honest, my long-term goal is we're going to bring this stuff in.
Yeah.
We'll look at it, and then we'll get our own made.
Actually,
and we'll put it in the hands of I've got Jack and Tim. Yeah. I've got this WhatsApp group, which is like you were saying about the buzz when we're out there and everyone's getting on. We've got these lads. 3 of us have got recreational licenses. There's 9 of us in this group. We all jump from got the different lads that haven't got the license to jump in on the boats. And there's lads that want to do this. There's lads that want to do that. I'm over here doing this, and we just bounce off each other with all these different ideas. If I start getting some exclusivity on some of this stuff, bringing it in, putting it into the hands of these boys, and go and develop it. And then we'll end up with the Tuna Gear version of whatever we're going to do is the long-term plan. It's investment in money again, in time.
Absolutely.
It's trying to balance it up. Because my missus looks at me and she's like, I do self-storage. And we've got rentals and that sort of stuff, which allows me to be able to do this. And then I'm dumping rental house money into this, and then we're going to do it again next year, and I'm committed to doing it the year after that. And It's
big
not
commitment.
to get a tackle. I thought getting a tackle brand off the ground. I thought you turned up and just went.
Yeah,
You bloody don't. You do not at all. It's just constant.
I often joke with Mick as well. You know, Mick has got Ultimate Fishing. A lot of people, including myself, buy a lot of rods, lures from him. It's not driving around in a Porsche or Ferrari. You know, it is a tough business. It's,
he makes
it's low margins. It's,
very low margins, high turnover, which is where I made the decision. There's other brands like mine where they will sell you all the components to build your own bars.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be going to the post office and
don't want to be counting split rings or swivels into a packet.
Zero interest in it. Absolutely zero.
Yeah.
When we bring these to market, we will offer something like that, but they will be done in package deals. Yeah. You know, you have to buy this, you have to buy that. Instead of, if somebody just wanted to buy hooks off me, ain't going to happen. You want to buy 20...
I just bought a load of those from Australia.
But if...
Must don't be like, 30 quid FedEx. I'm like, just put a couple of packs hooks in.
Yeah, that's the thing. But if we did something like that and you wanted to buy hooks off of us, you're going to have to buy 30 packs at a time. Yeah. I'm not going down... Like, I've got all the Bristow hooks I tie my stingers with. Yeah. I get asked all the time, can we buy Bristow hooks? No. Because they cost me... Retail on those hooks is £10 a hook. Yeah. That's anywhere in the UK. You buy a Bristow hook, 10 quid. There's only one place you can get them from, and to get the discount on them, you have to buy 100 at a time. Yeah. £8.33.
Low margin.
Why am I going to sell you a hook? I've got to buy 100 of these things. Yeah, I'm not interested. I'm just zero interest in it. You want to come buy 2 bars off of me? You want to buy some stingers off me? You want to do that a few times in a year, and then ring me up and or message me, go, mate, any chance of a couple of hooks? Yes. And I won't even charge you. I'll just give you the hooks. I've done it so many times this year. I get that, but I'm not in the market of trying to be the next. I won't say who they are, but I don't want to do. We've gone in with one mindset.
It's really tough.
Yeah. Here's bars. Yeah. Here's stingers. Yeah. Here's a splash chain. Here's a bit of our merch. That's
one of the reasons why I build these and I don't build cart rods. You know, cart rods, black, cheap rings. You can buy custom cart rods or what I'd call semi-custom, and they're turning them out. I mean, Aaron, you know, I won't go into who he was building for, but he was building, you know, sort of outsourced and building customs for somebody. And yeah, it's like, can you build 32 tips all the same rings, just black?
That's a job though, isn't it? I got offered by one of the probably the biggest online tackle shops in the UK, came to me and said, like the bars, we'll sell them for you. I was like, okay, perfect, but we want exclusivity. Hang on a second. I'm not standing in my garage. Yeah. Like, at least when people go onto the website, they're like, they want this one, this one, this one. I get to build up different stuff. Yeah. And now I've started doing little like custom jobs for people where they want different kind of squids on the bar. Can you build me a custom configuration
and
I mix things
this
up.
In the smaller,
Otherwise I've got a job standing in my garage. I might as well go and work for Amazon.
Yeah,
you know,
which is why I like.
I don't do it for the money. I do this because I absolutely love it.
Exactly.
If I had done this for money, we'd have been out of business. Like I wouldn't have been able to reinvest the money back into the business. I'd have had to take it as a wage and gone, okay, well next year we've only got $5,000 to go and spend on stuff. It's not.
I'm not going to set the world on light with these, but you know, cover my time and my costs.
But you do it because you love it.
Because I love it.
I do this because I love it. Yeah. You know, I absolutely love it.
How can they get hold of you?
Instagram. So Instagram, Custom Rodworx, CUSTOM, Custom Rodworx, ROD.
He's like Jamie on the Rogan show, isn't he? Straight up.
Yeah.
So have you not thought about going into this stuff?
No, I mean, so I'll give an example, right? So I used to service reels. I used to tie flies. You know, Rupert Harvey, good mate of mine, has actually gone full-time fly tying. It's, you know, high turnover, low margin. It's his full-time job now, so it's so time-consuming. So I, like yourself, it's like I'll stick to the niche, stick to some smaller stuff. You know, if we click on that one in particular, this was one of the Q80 customers. That's a custom abalone insert. You know, Carpenter do this as customs. He's like, this is a particular one-off sort of like custom prototype Carpenter rod. Can you do the abalone inserts? Yeah, absolutely, I can. It would be 25 quid a ring or whatever it is because it's quite difficult to get abalone to go around in a circle, as I found out. But yeah, I mean, similar. You know, these are brand new. These were launched at the Osaka show by Fuji. That was probably the first one that landed in Europe. I had to import them myself from Japan. Cost me a fortune. I've sold one because I've ended up replacing a reel seat for Carl Fox, who does Fox.
What does that give you?
So that is a custom dark titanium hood with a high compression carbon frame, so a lot more hard wearing than there used to be.
Can you put one on my Ripple Fisher?
No, so that's bass spinning lure.
Right, okay.
Much smaller, yeah.
Yes, so when we're talking about this sort of thing, we tend to stick to the bigger ones because a lot more pressure, a lot more sort of strength wrench down on those reel feet. So we tend to stay with the bigger tried and tested stuff like the Zenak have gone the aluminium with the rubber insert so it doesn't damage the reel feet. But I always stick to Fuji, sort of DPS 22s. But you can flash it up a bit, you got.
Is that on the Ripple Fisher anyway?
That is, yeah. So that's what we call a Fuji ICS seat with a long nut. You can have custom titanium components. I've got laser engraver at home as well, so you can have whatever you want.
I think we need to make that Ripple Fisher a Tuna Gear.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
So one thing I'm working on
so I can send you it when the season ends and you can just do all your stuff.
Do you need it rebuilding? Do I want Torsites? Do I want different colours? But again, we talked about build quality as well earlier.
I want the absolute bollocks. That's what I want.
Yeah, so you're looking at stuff like that. Metallics, abalone. If you want to go full cork handle.
I don't want cork. I never liked cork. I didn't like cork when I was carp fishing.
Really?
I didn't like it. Never liked it.
Full carp. So full sort of cork handles, we can laser engrave and do intricate patterns and burn them in with a laser and do all sorts of really crazy stuff.
You can modify that top high as well if you wanted to.
Yes, yeah, we can do all that. Yeah. So again, it's like, even, if you wanted, some customers, and I've got female customers as well, and they've got smaller hands, shorter arms. So, kind of have my bass fishing lure rod, I just need it coming down to my elbow, but I'm 5'4". So I can have a short handle, so you get into
the
almost
configurations of the boat,
it's almost like because I shoot as well. It's almost like custom stock gun fit. It's like I've got smaller hands, in particular. And again, the reason why this is so good is because smaller diameter. If you've got chunkier grips, like on some of the other rods, pen, you'll find you get a lot more cramp. Because if you've ever gone to the gym and try and lift up a weight with a big thick bar, it's a lot harder than a thin one where you can get your hand.
And those hex front grips.
What's that place called you said you go to? The gym. Never heard of it. Don't know what that is.
Yeah, so at the start of this year, I actually stupidly or wrongly, and this is people are going to laugh at me with this. So I actually built a training routine with my PT guy specifically for the casting stuff for this year. We now know where it hurts the day after. And it's like motocross. So I used to motocross ride as a race as well. So arm pump.
Arm pump is a real thing.
Yeah, so arm pump. So we
Are you wearing like compression stuff?
No. But that is a really good point. So we don't tend to strap in. So the purist in me wants to do it. It is a little bit macho, but not full get strapped in. So full. It's your own strength, your own arm, and we've got a couple of videos, and you'll see that. So it is really quite physical. So we started training a lot of back, a lot of legs. Realised it's probably forearms, and we've started now going into sort of what I'd call sort of like rock climbing sort of style stuff. So a lot of just hanging grips on balls and stuff like that, and fingerboards, because it is all about grip strength. So found out you're strong enough in your back and your legs, because we're a damn sight bigger than the Japanese anglers, but it's hanging on to
physically holding on to it.
Yeah, so a lot of arm pump, like motocross arm pump. And then I started cramping up in my hands, and it's like trying to get a lure off of split ring pliers, and I'm like, oh.
A serious note on that though, is the hydration side of it as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I found when we've been out there. I haven't been drinking enough water because I'm staring. You're on the hunt. You're tweaking bits and pieces, and I'll go to reel stuff in at the end of the day, and my arm just goes like that. And it happened when we were out, didn't it? Fully locks up inside here. So it was my right. And it locks right inside there, and I'm just chugging water. Yeah. I know what it is. I've dehydrated myself.
Yeah. So I'd done that the day before, not had enough water, cramping up, and it is a very physical style of fishing, and again, not to sort of talk about sort of what's gone before, but when I see 9-year-olds and 80-year-olds catching tuna on stand-up gear and stuff like that, it's like, that's not quite for me. I'd prefer to be a little bit more physical and get more out of it. So for me, it's more of a challenge. If we're doing it, as you say, without strapping in and full bore, I'm not the biggest guy, but, we have specifically trained. I fish with a lot younger guys who are a lot stronger than me. Some of them are fencers and labourers and stuff like that. And I just type on a keyboard all day with my soft.
But like you said, though, that's the difference.
Soft hand, I've got the same thing, yeah.
But that's the difference. I mean, like you say, it's purposely designed gear for a purpose. Like you said, the design on that Tobizo monster tuner, the grip on that alone is designed specifically for the way you hold that rod. And same.
Are you looking at putting those sorts of grips onto your own rods? Then? Are you looking at
I can get wing grips like that, but these are unique and a one-off. I don't know if we can get a close-up on the camera, but I'll take that off without poking it and breaking it in the ceiling.
Let's have a look.
Grip on that is insane.
But if you feel that, that's a solid bit of handle. But it's quite a slim grip, rubber. We're always wearing gloves anyway, so sort of fishing gloves. They're a lot like mountain bike gloves or motocross gloves. They're very similar, purely because you cast in 100-pound braid over your finger all day.
Rubber insert, so you don't damage your reels.
Yeah, but very clever. And again, custom one-off handle, specific to Zen. They've gone out and manufactured that. I'd probably think there's a lot of golf technology in Japan because they're crazy about golf as well. So they've gone to a golf handle manufacturer and gone, we want to do this, this and this. So it's not something that I can buy and custom fit, but I can shape EVA or cork like that and do something similar. But again, it's very clever that it's designed to essentially reduce the hand cramp and get your finger around it. So it is quite a slim diameter anyway, and that hex design, you can actually get some EVA already like that for sort of big stand-up rods and rail rods and stuff. But it's just little things like that. It's just, they've thought about it, they've tried and tested it, and it's there. But you need to be able to get your hand around it, and the slimmer the diameter, the less cramp you'll get.
Because you're not like that.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So we're training on things like that, so you can increase your sort of forearm and your grip strength. But yeah, I mean, we use different butt pads. We use a lot lighter butt pads, but on my gear out there, we've got a back brace. So similar to a Black Magic, you've got a back brace.
I took a photo of yours because I'm in the middle of hunting out what I want for mine.
If you wanna go and quickly grab it, and we'll cover it off as well. Just trying to fit what else is out there.
Yeah. Oh, I might be able to get some beers while we're out here.
Oh my
Sounds like a
life!
plan. Big shout out to Yeti as well. Thanks, Rowan. So yeah, we use quite a lot of loadout boxes and stuff like that. So you get your system done, you get your Yeti box that's indestructible, and we're all good.
Left.
What? Oh.
Yeah. So essentially, designed to fish with it on all the time. So we've got your split ring pliers. So you've always got your tools.
What split ring pliers do you use?
I think I've got an old pair of. I think they're owner ones, but they're about 15 years old. But again, you'll fish, sort of like that, lightweight, very lightweight, a lot lighter than a Black Magic. You've got a lot more freedom. But again, that will get wrenched down. So you've got the back support.
Yeah.
So obviously, if you stood up all day and casting, you also need the flexibility. And that's where, again, this side of fishing is a little bit different from stand-up, because I can work the angles with a rod. I can get a lot more leverage. I've got more retrieve on the rod and more leverage than I would consider. You strapped in with your 50 wide.
Yeah.
That, as you'll see on some of the videos, fish is running towards you. I've got the rod under my arm. It starts running. I've got it under my arm, and I've got two hands, and I can work more angles. And I genuinely believe that we've got more capability to fight the fish than you have if you stood in that traditional stand-up pose, locked in on a big reel. You can't dance around the boat and work all the angles and get a bit more leverage, and you certainly can't sort of lever up as much or retrieve as much line as we are with the fixed ball. So, sort of when we're fishing the tuna comp, we were bringing fish in, 60s, that 70 was under half an hour. I think most of the 50s and 60s, everything was probably around 10-minute fight time. So with the right equipment, the right gear, and learning and understanding how to get the leverage and the angles, it's my opinion is it's probably to a degree quicker.
Yeah, I took a photograph of it.
Yeah, so that's MC Works. These are really common. They do squeak a lot when you've got them in the butt pad. There's no gimbal.
Yeah, that's what the lads have been doing. They got the AFCO one and then cut the bar out of it and then got the Dremel multi and cleared up all the notches off the side of it. Yeah,
just go and get one. It's a lot easier, but a lot more comfortable as well and hard wearing. I mean, you can just fish it on just around your waist, but I find having it on the back and having a bit more back support as well just gives you a little bit more comfort and stuff like that. And typically we wear it all day, and you've got your pliers, your split ring pliers for changing your lures. So again, we sort of talk about attachments on the front. So typically we tie to a swivel. And
what swivel is that?
I think that's an NT. It's probably about 250 kilo brake. So it doesn't need to be big. We're not fishing massive gear. I think these are decoy, extra heavy.
250 kilo or pounds?
250 kilo. So again, so Japanese stuff, again, they build stuff the right way. So again, sort of decoy, NT. Oh, crikey, I'm just trying to think. Sasami, people like that. But yeah, you can buy a lot of componentry and stuff like that, and split rings. So decoy split rings, I think they're probably, don't think they're £400. I think they're about 150 kilo. But again, more than enough to attach a lure without going overkill on the attachments. And it's definitely got to be strong enough to give you the beef, but it's never going to be as hardcore as GT fishing.
Decoy does make some kick-ass gear, doesn't it?
Yeah. But it will never be as hardcore and pressure pointed as GT fishing. So, whilst I won't say finesse, you can go a little bit lighter. And again, the rods, they're sort of a bit more forgiving. They're not a broomstick like some of the GT popping rods.
Yeah, they are absolute broomsticks, aren't they?
Yeah, and that's what I'd caution anyone towards. It's like, really have a look at the rods and understand the type of fishing you're doing, the lures. If you fished a Ripple Fisher Final Spirit P12 popping rod, it would destroy you in minutes, and you'd probably give yourself a hernia to throw in as well.
Yeah, because there is a proper tool for the proper job, isn't there? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
How long have you been using the Stellas for?
Forever.
Is that your go-to?
Yeah. So it's an interesting one. I'm always a Shimano person on reels. It's just, I think, preference. Sam, when we're fishing the other day and on the Saturday, has got the new Sortigas, really, really nicely made, really nicely built, really nice drag clicker, and a very nice drag.
I was looking at an iCash. I was mooching around the dives.
Very, very well built. But my personal belief is Shimano build a bit better, build a bit stronger. Stellas, saltwaters have been a go-to. Sort of they've been around since 2000.
That's what Yamea Sport as well, yeah.
Yeah, so Yamea is a Shimano one. So what we did on these ones. So whilst it's interesting actually because you immediately think tuna, it's going to run, need more line. So I purposely went out and got a bigger spool for that's an 18,000 Stella, which is the faster retrieve one, with a Yamea 20,000K max spool. So that's probably holding about 100 meters more than an 18K
standard
normal, standard spool. A bit rarer to get, but once you've got it, so I know I've got the line capacity because I'm fishing quite agricultural JB Hollow £100. And then obviously with the MC Works handle, so I've probably added on another 500 quid's worth of extras on that. I bought the reel cheap, and then the handle was expensive. And
yeah.
How much was the handle?
About 270 quid.
Bargain.
Yeah, but it's
and the Yamea spool.
About 250 again. Yeah.
Where did you have to source that from?
Japan. You have to wait for them to come up as well, so it's rare.
Super limited runs, aren't they?
Yeah, super limited again. Not a massive market for this, so you have to keep your eye out, know where the shops have got them in stock or where they're on.
I had the chrome and anodized reds on my Stella 4000s. And they look sick, but rare as rock and roll shit,
Yeah, so you got Livre, which are the Japanese handles. These are, it's a hollow titanium handle sort of ball, but that's a lot bigger to get your hand around. And with the Daiwas and the Shimanos, the rubber ones are a bit small and they're a bit, you want to be able to grab it and crank it and hold on to it sort of thing. So we do a couple of things like that. I mean, there is function as well as the tackle tart aspect to that.
Is this a newer one to that one? Is this been an upgrade from the upgrade?
I couldn't get any more of those, so I ended up with one of those. So it's just like I was searching for those because it's my go-to because I really like the handle sort of size and it's really nicely, solidly well built. And you can't get those. Couldn't get them. Was waiting. Trips coming up. I'm like, I need another one for another reel. Good the lever. I've got the lever stuff on all my bass gear, so I've got Shimano Stellas, like the little ones, 2,000, 2,500s, 3,000s, 4,000s, and a 5,000, all sort of pimped out. And I mean, on the bass gear, it's pure tackle tar, it's pure pimp. But
it's not required on bass.
Yeah, but this is more function as well as I mean, that's obviously a lot more tarty. Hollow titanium sort of handle ball. Different machining. That's a bit more agricultural, but they do the job.
Which one do you prefer?
That one. It's just more crank. More crank.
Like I said, and also the reason why they're designing so heavy duty is for that pulling leverage when you're sweeping.
Yeah. Why does that give you more crank?
Well, they're longer than the standard handles by about 5
minutes. But you prefer this one over?
Oh, I prefer because I've always had the MC Works stuff on my stuff for about 10 years. So it's the handle shape, and you know what you get not broken one. But yeah, just ended up by the lever one. I mean, they are heavy reel. I mean, you've got the 30,000 as well. The 30,000 is the biggest fixed spool I think anybody's ever made.
It's a monster.
Yeah, it's a monster. It's interesting. I know a lot of the Spanish guys in the Canaries as well who are targeting the 300, 400 kilo fish are using the 30k because it is the capacity. It's the same drag rating, and again.
Yeah, that's what we had the conversation about.
Yeah.
I was looking at it. It's the same drag rating.
Just more capacity.
But I've got more capacity, so that's why I went for it. I was like, I'd rather have line capacity.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I fish 80 wides
instead
of 50 wides on all my stand-up gear, because it's either in a gunnel or it's in a Black Magic harness.
Yeah.
The weight doesn't come into it.
Yeah.
But I've got Dave uses the Talicas, and he's got the 50 Talico. And that day we had that 94. By the time we got him into the harness, bearing in mind there's 4 lads that all know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
One went to the helm.
Yeah.
The other 2 are getting, one's gone to the rod, the other one's getting Dave into his harness, the other one's then bringing the rod to him, clipped in. It done 2/3 of his spool.
Yeah.
Whereas on my 80, I wouldn't even be sweating it. I wouldn't even be thinking about it.
It's a fish that will do up to 55 miles an hour in water.
Yeah.
One of the fastest fish with weight, as you say, seconds count. So if you've got a bit more confidence and, when we come back down in the winter and target the bigger fish, yes, it will be the 30k on the 70 or on the Monster Buster. And then I probably won't fish the 86 because it's a little bit too long. And we are specifically coming down to target and get the 200 kilo fish. So, yeah. So again, it's having the confidence in your gear, your knots, your approach. I'm not saying my way is absolutely the right way. FG knots, if you want to do PRs or FGs, up to you. But I've learned a particular way. You're just comfortable and confident with what you do and how you tackle up and how you rig up. And you just...
It does clatter through those eyes.
What brand braids do you use then?
So there's another one for you. So JB Hollow is an American manufacturer. They do a great hollow braid. They do solid braid as well. But
do you not like the Momoy?
I've not used it. I've always stuck with JB, for 10 years plus. It was one of the first.
It's just what you're confident in,
Yeah, exactly. It's agricultural. It breaks probably about 10, 15, 20% more. So I know the 100 breaks about 110. I know the 80 breaks at like 116 because the 80 pound is a 16-way carrier, whereas that's only a 12-way carrier. So, yeah, they are quite flat braids. They're nothing special, but they're bomb-proof. You can smash it. I've seen sort of some of the Suncast stuff, Castaway. I've seen exploding sort of knots and very fragile braid because it's a high tensile, very tight weave casting braid. It's great diameter. You can cast it a mile. But I've just seen GTs just explode. You can tie the best knots on the planet. I've just seen line.
I think line should be one of the most important things because we were looking at doing some line.
Yeah.
So I imported a load of stuff in.
Yeah.
My old man we got a set of scales, double pulley equipment.
Yes.
And we started pulling.
Yeah.
We were snapping it at half capacity and we're just like, I'm not even going down this route.
So
I'm not even going to...
So nobody in the UK or even Europe, I think, imports JB. So again, I have to go to... There you go. I have to go to JB to go and buy it and buy 2,500 yards at a time.
Yeah, I buy the Momoy 3,000 yard spools.
Yeah. At the end of the day,
six of them sat there.
It's the connecting factor between you and the fish of a lifetime. Is the line on it? Why? And
the knots,
even in like,
and the swivels,
even in the bass
split
fishing, those little points.
Yeah.
And you see it on Facebook. I bought these from Temu and all this sort of stuff, and it just like boils my piss. It's like this is the connecting factor of you and a fish of a lifetime. That, in my opinion, at the line
and fish safety.
Yeah.
We'll catch and release anglers here.
Yeah.
The fish safety side of it has to come in here. The last thing I want to do is be leaving something in its mouth.
Yeah. I mean, I've got an 80 quid braid on my bass reel and I spend the best components on the hooks and the split rings and the clips because exactly that. I don't want my fish swimming off with a hook in its mouth or dying because it's trailing over the braid.
I swapped to singles and all my bass lures, barbless singles, probably about 10 years ago, and everybody's like, "Oh, you lose loads of fish." I'm like, "It works just great for me. I've pulled them out of my finger easy enough." I see you see like hard lures with like 3 trebles on it and barbed, and I'm like,
it's not pretty.
Because it's not ras fishing I do now.
Yeah,
barbless.
Yeah,
because I'm never going to eat it.
Yeah.
I want it to go back. Why do you have to want to hold that thing with their lips and have to get a pair of pliers and rip it out of their mouths? I can't want that. I just want a picture and I just want to let it go back.
Marvellous. So again, you might lose a fish, but you're absolutely right. It's those connecting factors, and don't skimp on the really.
No.
Don't skimp on your split rings. Oh, yeah.
This is what I said, like tuna fishing should be expensive. You shouldn't be skimping. Yeah. I saw some of the posts in the early days before the licenses came out going, I've just bought a 50 class ugly stick and I've bought this and I've bought that. And I'm like, I've got a 30 wide squall or whatever it is. And you're like,
we had them coming into the shop and you just think, just please, just go away. It's just like, it's
have
so
a bit of pride with what you've got.
So
like,
I mean, to be honest.
Because it will last forever. This is the thing.
Yeah.
My kit I've bought, there's no reason that by the time I snuff it, that gear will still be sat there. I just hope the wife doesn't. There's that thing, isn't there? I hope the wife doesn't sell it for what I actually told her
it's worth.
I mean, it doesn't need to be a Stella or Sortiga. I mean, I know Penn have got some reels out. They won't last as long as the top of the range, but again, you can go and buy a Shimano Saragossa 25,000 saltwater, and it's half the price and probably a lot more quality than the Penn because it's built on the same principles as the Stellas. It's just got a few less bearings and
it's adopted a lot of that technology down into it, isn't it? Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be.
But I always counter that.
Mega expensive.
If you're going tuna fishing and you're going to get the bug, all that's going to happen in a few years' time, you're going to end up swapping
false economy.
Yeah. Just go and buy it. Like my rods, a lot of lads are fishing like the Shimano rods. I've seen them snap. I've seen this. I've got Alatechnos.
Yeah.
I've got them for a reason. Like we were trawling away from a bus about a month ago, and I've hooked up as I'm pulling away, and that Alatechnos is over like that. I might have been with Sean. And he's making these faces. It'd be fine, mate.
Yeah.
Don't even
so
worry
with
about
that
it.
sort of high stick in it, I know it's well built and it's tough and it's same actually. To be fair with the Red 10 Ryos, actually they are tough as nails, and I've put through hell and not broken one. They're tough. The paint is thick. But it doesn't have to stop the rocks scarring them and breaking them. I've snapped some of my Daiwa sort of lure rods because they are quite fragile and Branzine zones and stuff like that. But the 10 Ryos are built to last and they do the job. But again, it's false economy. So if you are going to get into it, and this isn't a one-off season. If we do get another season, you might be doing this for the rest of your life. So it's.
I've always said if you have a budget,
go
to the top of what you're comfortable with your budget.
Yeah.
So if you've got £1,000 to spend the £1,000. Don't spend $650 because you've got a bargain.
Yeah.
Look around and get the £1,000 worth of gear.
Or buy second hand. Again, some of my Stellas are second hand.
I mean, we talked, didn't we? When you messaged me about it, there was loads that we to and fro from Japan. Of Japanese Stellas,
we'll go backwards.
But you ended up, you went new in the end. But I mean, how many did we share to each other? Oh, this looks about right spec wise. Look at the condition. What's it worth?
I said earlier, I was just concerned. I don't know what that reel's been through.
What its life it's been through.
So I just thought work's paid.
It's always a risk.
Yeah,
but then I service the reels and I know I can take it apart, fix it.
So again, that's what I bought new because my Shimano. So my Tiagra. Where the drag lever goes up, I must have taken it off the boat or moved it down here, and I've bent that. So I've bent that around it, and I thought, I reckon I can take that off, stick it in the vice with a set of mole grips, and put it out. Undid 3 things. It went ping, ping, ping. I went, I'm putting that in a box and sending it to Shimano. Like I don't even know where it came off.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at schematics online trying to work out how this goes back together. I am and I'm like Clarkson. Can I fix it with a hammer? No. Right, it goes to the people that know what they're doing. I'm not even going to learn.
I mean, having an engineer, you look at exploded diagrams, they look complicated, but once you've had one open, they're all pretty much the same. I mean, I have opinions on Daiwa mag oil and I won't touch them, but a few years ago decided not to service reels for people because it's tough, low margins and it's a lot of work. So I stuck to sort of niche where I'm comfortable.
I've got the busted fishing spooling machine.
Yes, yeah.
I've got one of those. Stuart's got one. He does the real.
I've got one.
Yeah. I
bought one because I ended up with about 5 Stellas and all my mates Stellas to do, and I'm like, fuck doing this by hand.
Yeah, exactly. Zzz. One of the brands like us has just bought one, and he's doing a spool loading service. I've had a couple of people ask me, nah, I'm not having your reels posted to my house. Something goes wrong, I drop it, I scratch it. I'm just not even.
I mean, friends are welcome to come around to mine and do it.
To make 30 quid to stand there to post it. No. Yeah, I'll do it for my mate. So I did Dave's reels. I'm going to do Sean's tomorrow for him. Obviously, I do my own stuff and all the rest of it. I'm happy to do it.
That's actually quite an important point about spooling up as well, because GTs as well, you need that braid on, and on the big game reels, need it on rock hard.
Yeah.
Because I actually lost a massive...
Because it digs in on itself if it's
I've
not
lost a massive dog tooth from PE10 jigging because I'd caught a fish, then you got slack, and I got a yellowfin, got shark, so you're reeling in sort of like 50 kilo, like tuna's just head. So you got lots of loose line, and first big fish, 100 metres, just buried me. PE10, like about 100 pounds, just dug in, snapped like cotton, and nothing you can do about it. So the bee's knees in particular, you know, back in the day, we used to have 2 people holding the spool, and you'd be cranking it for like an hour on full drag to get your GT spool line solid, so you didn't get the bedding in. But I just looked at it and went, oh, I've got like 4 Stellas, Sam's got 2, Jack one, I've got like about 10 reels to do. I'm like, I'll just buy it. So I've had the original sort of frame bit for putting the drag on when he brought them out, and it's years old now. So
they're wicked things.
Yeah, it's a great invention, and I've got him on Facebook, Frank Fernhorn, I think. Yeah,
he's sure. I saw Stuart doing it.
Yeah, Australian guy.
Yeah, Stuart had it on the website. Yeah. Me being me, doing my research and what everybody's up to. Yeah, and he's got the video of him in his garden. I was like, yeah. Oh my God, I've just been sat at home and I've done 3 of these reels manually.
And I'm cramping. And
yeah, so just sweating. Like,
yeah. Good training, but... Yeah,
buy it now, thank you very much.
That's exactly what I did.
I got hit with a bit of import duty on that one. I think the whole thing, because I bought you get the bracket where you can put the spool on, but you get those tighteners with it, so you can put the tension on there. Yeah. I think I was in it for like 700-800 quid. Yeah. Best money I've ever spent. Sits on the end of my desk all the time.
Oh, I just built a bench. It's in the garage, so I've got a spooling station. You come round, and I think we did about 2 kilometres of line in about an hour.
It's a game changer.
That's always just out.
Yeah, one battery.
Yeah. Does the big reels, does the fixed spools, does little ones, does big ones.
They brought that. I can't remember what they're called. They've now got this thing for the end of a drill. You can put it on the handle of your big rod.
Clip onto the 2-speed connector.
Yeah, and you just hit the drill, and it brings the bar in for you.
Electric reel.
Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah. It'd just be nice not to have to, especially when there's a lot of weed out there and stuff like that. Just putting the bar.
We cast over that way. You know what you do?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, well, that will come with time. Bar fishing's always going to have a place over here. Amazing entry level stuff. And even on those days when you're out with the boys, it's nice. You've got 4 bars out. Everyone's having a beer. Yeah. Radio's on. The fishing's going off all over, and it's just such.
Whereas we're running around a boat.
Yeah.
Flapping.
One at
faster, 25 knots, get to that bus. Cast. Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not. We're having something to eat. We're having a beer. The bars are out. One goes off. Get into your harness. Do your thing. Next bloke gets to go.
Who's lighting my cigar?
We do that as well, actually. Yeah. We're sat out there living our best lives. Yeah. But this is something that's really got me this year. It's... Like, I've done a lot of lure fishing. Yeah. But never this sort of lure fishing.
Some of the takes and some of the... For me, it's the adrenaline. It's the pinnacle. I mean, we do it with bass fishing. Everybody fishes top water because it's way more exciting. You know, yes, you can trot down soft plastics and, again, sort of dropping soft plastics down. But, sort of when Louis got absolutely nailed, he'll never forget that take. Sam saw all of it, saw the lure go in the mouth, and he's like, I'll never forget that for the rest of my days. And... I had something huge, a swamp donkey.
There's something there's something you can't...
Just came out and he went,
my first experience with it with big fish was with tarpon, watching, winding in top waters and just being like, what on fucking earth is going on? And just seeing ungodly explosions and just crazy. It just sticks with you as a primeval instinct that you see it and to do that, to be able to do that 30 minutes off the rocks down here, it's still to this day. It's still to this day. Is like, what the fuck? How has this happened? And
it's happened though.
Long may it continue. And like I said, we're progressing as we go on.
It's the take. It's also that. It's like bone fishing as well. It's that first run. We're going to use a Martin Donald term here. So we're not fishing what we call Hollywood drag. So we are 15 kilos or so. And you'll see a lot of us sort of pump it up as we get a bit closer. It's that pinwheeling. So once you've had the first run, you've got control. You haven't got spooled because you haven't caught the biggest fish on the planet. You got it under control. They are quite well-behaved fish. They're not like GTs. They're not trying to reef you like a Seriola. They are. They don't play dirty. They're not going to suddenly dive like Dogtooth and try and reef you 120 metres. meters down. So you're fairly in control.
It's generally a long run because we haven't got the depth of water.
Yeah. It's a nice big screamer. Brace yourself. Hold on. It's gone. I won't lie. The pinwheeling is annoying because it's close. You get frustrated. You're tired. You're like, I just want to get this done. And then it's the final sort of like 5 minutes of grind. It is grind just to get it up and just
get it round to that 1 o'clock and take half a turn.
Yeah.
Half a turn.
Yeah.
Well, we use the boat as well to help a little bit.
Absolutely. If you keep the line sort of not dead vertical, keep the angle on it. And again, I think you've got the advantage with the spinning rods. You can work the angles and get a bit more angle, and the boat is constantly moving. You've got the angle, and yeah. So,
well, we said that earlier on. I mean, I think a lot of people, especially online, don't realise the importance of a good skipper of knowing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because it's as much as a skipper, especially when it gets down dirty.
Yeah. So
go and see Kev Lavis down on Crusader Charters. He was the best. We had to do training courses to get into the tuna comp.
Yeah.
We went and got on one of their boats. Went through the process. I don't want to be super critical. I wouldn't call it that much training. Whereas I got on Kev's boat, he came up to us. Yeah. We got on Dave's boat. We went out to Torquay, and he just talked me through these different processes. And I've been out there doing it already.
Yeah.
The stuff I took away from that so he was like, we always fight from this corner of the boat because I can see out the wheelhouse. So I was like, right, so I'm going to put them on the left-hand corner because where my helm is, I can stand. That's why I told you to stand where you did, because I can stand on my helm. Yeah. And I can look, and all I'm looking at is the line
angle.
And where's that line going?
No way.
And I can manoeuvre the boat so that line's always here. So if it looks like it's running under the boat, I can turn this way.
Yep.
And because that angler's always in that space, like Kev said, you put an X on the deck, you stand there. There's nowhere else that you need to go.
Job.
I'm going to move the boat.
Yeah.
So that line, we were doing it when we were with Tom yesterday. He was on the rod. I jumped on the helm of the boat, and I'm just looking out the window. And all I was looking at was that line in the water. I didn't care what he was doing. I'm just watching that line in the water, and I'm just spinning the wheel,
managing position off that.
Yeah, and I was just putting that boat.
It's a lot harder. So I will give Stuart Newell a shout out. So Stuart's obviously done a couple of years of chart.
He's 3 years, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think so. So he's got a cheetah cat.
He's probably 4 years now.
Yeah, so he's got a cheetah cat, but he's set up a little bit different. So you've got access all the way around.
Yeah.
But he's also got dual controls.
Yeah.
So he's out the back. So we wouldn't have caught half those fish if it wasn't for Stuart, because likewise he's doing his job so effectively. Caught the fish, okay. Right, rotate down, come down to me, everybody reel in. So we weren't purposely going, right, somebody's hooked up, everybody in, stop. You wait. And you bring it round.
You have to, because you'll end up with cross lines, and that's when you lose. And we get it on the double takes with the bars. As soon as that crosses, that braid can be £200. That tension, as soon as gone.
Taking instruction and being able to take instruction, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, and
that's another thing Kev taught us. He was like, there's
one boss.
Take the feedback from the person that's on the rod. He's not so much, because he's got a deckhand on the boat. So the deckhand communicates to Kev.
Yeah.
And then everyone else shuts the fuck up. There's no his mates here going, oh, left, shut up.
Yeah.
There's a line of communication that needs to go through the boat.
And a slightly longer leader. So again, you see what we call the number plate. I can see the number plate. Okay, there's the leader. And, you're fighting right next to Stuart, and he's right next to you there. So it's like straight into neutral. He's got his glove on the line, and,
leadering or wiring, as they call it, is an art form in itself.
Oh, indeed. You have to do it in a way. Don't wind it around your hand that way. And
I've got quite good at it this year, because I've spent all the fish caught on my boat. I doubt I've caught half of them. I've been taking other people out fishing. Like that day we fished, I didn't even get on the rod.
Yeah.
Fishing wasn't the best, but we had 2 fish. Him and Tricky both got a fish, and I was like, I wasn't even that bothered. I was more buzzed that they had caught one. But I come in at that stage, and when I said
it's
to
a
him,
team. It's all about a team.
100%. When me and Sean used to go out, I'm like, we win as a team and we don't catch as a team. But like when he was on that rod, as it came up to leader, and I was like, right, what I want you to do now is this.
Yeah.
Gave him the instructions of what to do, which he did pretty badly.
Just don't tell Tricky to look at the water, because he'll just go bright fucking green and go.
Is he seasick?
Yeah, he did.
He went a little bit, but it was when we asked.
He went very quiet and very white.
Get the harness out underneath on it, and in the cabin. Can you get the gone. And of course, he's took his eye off the horizon, and he's looking downstairs, looking. He's come back up to me. He's lost all his fucking colour. Are you all right, mate? And he's like, I'm fine, mate. And then he's like, no, I need to sit down. I'm like, oh, fucking hell.
Just keep your eyes on it.
Did it the same again when the fish got in close, didn't he? When he started looking down. And he couldn't, like I say,
you got no time for that. He's casting. You're like,
his body's telling him different to what his eyes are telling him.
It's not something I struggle with. I'm lucky. I spend a lot of time at sea, so it doesn't really bother me.
Never bothered me in the slightest. But Tricky definitely went from being good as gold to.
But yeah, you'll skip it. The skipper on that boat is as much to. I was trying to find a photo.
So I'd say arguably that Stuart's probably set up better for casting than the rest of the charter fleet. Plus.
Because it's new, isn't it?
He's had us. I think he's had Jackson not on a few times. So he's had a couple of people.
But what's to say in a year, 2 years' time, when the casting is widely more accepted, that there's not going to be more boats that are more set up for it?
I think it's just the learning process as we're going through and just learning. But so I think Stuart took a couple of things away from the way.
This is what I'm looking at replacing my boat with next year.
Yes,
exactly.
Very nice.
Yeah, exactly the same thing.
Yeah,
deck space, plenty of space.
Get the dual helm with a helm outside, because again, you're right there and you can see exactly.
That's what I learned from being on Fortuna this year. Mark Jory was very kind.
Yeah,
he let me come down. I wasn't fishing. Yeah. I'd just jump on a trip.
Yeah,
I'd be sat up on the fly bridge.
Yeah,
and he'll come off as soon as we hook up. He'll come downstairs. I'd stay on the helm up there, and he goes to his dual control on the helms.
Yeah,
and he's got his lad on the deck doing everything, and he's just stood there. He's not even looking. He's just going clip, wind, clip, knocking them in and out of gear. That is a skill set in itself. Yeah. Boat management. This is one thing I think that the lads with the recreational fishery are going to have to pick up of their skippering skills, because it's not just when it's fine when it's gone off on that charging run. It's when it gets to the boat. That's
not hitting the props. It's being able to get round, and again, longer rods help you get round the boat. And again, it's once it's leaded, that's still not the job over. He's then got to manage that fish. He's obviously got a big fish with hooks into it. Lip grips, and again, lip grips over gaff. There are, gaffs are good, but you've obviously then got the skill of don't get the gaff through the tongue.
I haven't done enough gaffing.
Yeah.
So from day one, I made the decision to go with lip grips.
Yeah.
Because job done.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was doing with the gaff. Yeah. We went out the first trip me and Sean did. What am I going to do with this? Like, stick it in its head? And he's like, no, what you got to do is do this and do that.
Yeah.
We didn't catch that trip, luckily. I come home that night. I went to Rock Max, got a set of Seanox. Thank you very much, and I've had them ever since. Yeah. I'm going to probably buy another set this year. The real short ones. Yeah. They look quite good.
Is that Italian brand?
I don't know, but he's the guy who invented them, and it's just like a boga grip, but bigger. Yeah. But if you've got a shorter one about that big on a rope, and but again, that's still a skill.
Mine are like
a metre, aren't they? I'd say yours probably a metre.
Yeah, metre 4 foot.
And maybe rope today,
yeah. I've got like a 20 foot of rope on it, so that I can let them go.
Yeah.
I find that you can recover them just as quick on a bit of a shorter bit of rope. I'm very conscious of the prop. And when you're trying to pull that fish back up to get the grips off, all it takes is that fish to swim off to the side.
So we were recovering them boat side, going with it boat side, so it's there. It's not going 20 foot back. It's boat side.
As long as you've got both the gills under the water, that fish is going to come.
Yeah.
How many of them come up green anyway?
Yeah.
The amount of them, you're just like, it's looking at you. It's got full colour in the side.
The ones came up and it was like...
Tricky's exploded off, didn't it? But let that grip off, as soon as that going...
Yeah.
Mine was a bit more subdued, kind of sailed off and then sunk a bit, then kicked off. But Tricky's went exploding off the grip. Yeah. Green as hell.
Looked at you.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it's getting over its fright. Really? Is this who I've been called by?
But that great British race, at the end of the day, we have a fantastic opportunity to develop a recreational fishery, all styles of fishing. Just happens that this absolutely floats my boat, and it's just pumping. And long may it last.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So what is your plan for next year then? What have you got? Have you got some stuff to take? I know you're talking about the bigger fish. Is there other fishing you want to do outside of this? Have you got other trips planned?
No, so again, sort of talking a bit more personally. So yes, I've got a son now who's 18 months old. So again, my bass fishing this year has taken.
I call my kids the freeloaders. They just ruin everything, don't they?
So the bass fishing really this year has taken a back seat. With the ability to go for this recreational fishery, for me, the plan is now to concentrate for the next 2 years, because if I go abroad to French Polynesia, or if I go to Oman, if I go, somewhere else, I go to the States, if something happens at home or I need to be home, I'm a 3-4 hour drive. If the shit hits the fan, I can just drive home. I can't do that if I'm in the States or, the other side in Hong Kong or,
that'd be 2 days away.
Yeah, even if you can get back, if you could get back. And, it's a lot more money to fly. So, in a way, for me, I want to concentrate on fishing this. It's not always about the biggest fish, but I do like the challenge of being able to hit a 200 kilo, then it'll be 250 kilo, and then we're getting up into, some of the top 0% in the world, obviously 106-inch fish, not yet, we're not ready for it yet. A lot more physical training, a lot more to learn before we go there, but you never know what's going to happen. But for me, definitely next year is the bass fishing will be early season, and then August onwards, as soon as that season, if we get a cast-in recreational fishery, which I hope we do, then it will be, as we do bass fishing currently, it will be 1 trip a month. And, hope for the weather, you book every, double weekends each month.
Yeah.
You might lose 50% because of the weather, but we'll be sticking with Stuart Newell next year and booking it, help him promote his, sort of him as the go-to sort of casting skipper, and away we go. But I can certainly see me concentrating on UK tuna casting for at least the next couple of years.
That sounds fun, doesn't it?
It's exciting stuff, eh?
Yes.
It is. It's mind-blowing because, again, sort of growing up and being taught, from a very young age, doing some, very sort of normal sea fishing, and North Wales and Dartmouth they're okay. They're never going to set the world on fire for the type of fishing we were doing at the time. But to have what I've been chasing, as a grown-up all my life on our doorstep, within fingers reach, and yes, extremely lucky to be living down in South Hams with what I would class as probably the best tuna fishery on the planet at the moment. 20-minute steam out of Dartmouth or around of Plymouth. It's epic. It's epic.
We can be in Plymouth in an hour and a bit on the boat.
Yeah.
I wanted to take the boats down to Falmouth via sea, but the weather window just didn't let us. It was the whole road trip thing. That's something I want to do a lot next year. We've got a whole load of content stuff planned.
Yeah.
Because my boat's fully trailerable.
Yeah.
VW Transporter 4 Motion is going to be on the way.
Yeah.
Connect that to the boat, and I want to go up to Yorkshire. I want to go over here, go off over here, go off there.
Yeah.
And I want to start. I wanted to do it this year, but I got so caught up in, just get on the boat and go fishing. Yeah,
Come on,
yeah.
Hit it.
The rest of it just went out the window. Whereas next year is going to be a lot more methodical. It's going to be okay. I want to catch a tuna from here, a tuna from here. Yeah. Like it's all going off in, like, say, Eastbourne at the moment.
Yeah.
Right, this weekend we've got a weather window. Grab the boat. Up we go on Thursday. Get the boat launched. Go out for a nice meal.
So if you had 2 boats, or 3 boats, you just
I did have 2 boats. I got rid of one of them. I had 2
I
had 2 on the same marina. I had my Wellcraft, aka Chinese Dave, which I've still got, and I had a Fountain 33 SFC.
Yeah.
Twin 300 Mercuries, would sit at 60 knots. Problem was I was burning 70 gallons an hour.
Yeah.
And it just got, every tuna trip was turned into 1,700 quid a trip.
Bank loan trip.
Yeah, and it was just like, I got to the end of a month of fishing and I'd done £5,500 on fuel. Like, right, that thing needs to go. That boat had been bought because the wife didn't like the smaller boat. I grew up on boats. My dad always had boats. We were down on the Isles of Scilly a lot, doing a lot.
Yes,
we holidayed down there all the time. We would always be on hire a boat while we were down there. We'd be going up and down the Eastern Isles trawling.
Why are there no bass there?
I know, man.
I don't know. It's
crazy, isn't it?
So it's probably the world's
top bass destination.
Yeah.
But there's no bass.
Why no bass? Why?
Because it's so bassy. You go there. It's like,
it looks like Jersey, doesn't it?
And it's only it's only 30 miles. I think it's 28 miles off the bottom of Land's End. It's not far. Yeah. I don't understand how they haven't made it down there. Because Kieran's catching them around Penzance. Why aren't you catching them down there? It's like. But I always had boats. The wife didn't want to get on the smaller boat, so I bought the bigger boat because I wanted to go down the French canals, stop in Paris, have a couple of days, go down Euro Disney with the kid, hop out in the Med, spend the whole summer in the Med on the boat. I'd fly the girls back, fly my dad out, and we'll bring the boat back through the canals again.
Yeah.
And I had the boat for about 6 weeks. We've got a camper van. We hadn't been in the camper van a lot. We're out in Teignmouth on the seafront. We're having fish and chips. The girls had sat out the back on their iPads. Me and the wife are just chatting away, and she's like, I really miss the camper van. I like looking out to sea. We've just walked down, got some nice food. I was like, yeah, I like it as well. She goes, I fucking hate your boat. What? She was like, I hate your boat. I don't want to be on the boat. I've got no interest in being on the boat. And as she was saying that, I was messaging the broker. I just got my phone out, started emailing the broker. Put it up for sale, mate.
Yeah.
I'm just not even going to fight this battle anymore. Yeah. So I kept Chinese Dave, which is a wicked little boat.
Yeah, it's kick-ass, mate, yeah.
Like, it'll run quite happily at 25 knots with 3 lads on it, 20 litres an hour in fuel. Yeah. 2 of us on it, I can pump her up to like 33 knots.
That's the problem. There's an economy line, isn't there, to this sort of fishing as well. And you know, I mean, it's a reasonably high charter cost as well, but I recognise for this type of fishing in particular, we are burning a lot of fuel. We are charging around at 25 knots all the time. You know, we're trying to find fish and constantly moving, so it is what it is. So again, if you can split it 3 ways, it just makes it a little bit softer. And
I think it should be a premium, like with the kit, it should be a premium fishery. Yeah. Like, why we're not going out? No offence against the other charter fishing, we're not anchored up bait fishing for rays, or we're not just running over wrecks all day and doing that sort of stuff. It is a premium product that these guys are bringing to market, which isn't cheap to do. Yeah. My dad taught me from a very early age, profit's not a dirty word. Charge for it, you know?
Absolutely.
If you want those guys on your boat, you want guys that love it.
To be fair, it's comparable with where else I've been in the rest of the world, you know, sort of Middle East and Far East as well. Sort of typically you're paying, you know, €1,000, €1,200 a day, 1,500 USD per day for the boat. So, you know,
it's there.
We're
but even if you were doing a normal charter boat for the day and doing a group booking just to go that fishing that I just mentioned, it's less than a third more to go tuna fishing. So I don't even think it's
no, it's not without reaching the fuel cost that hits everybody. But yeah, we are very lucky.
We're close as well. A few more years.
Yeah.
Let's just hope. Touch wood. Let's just hope that things progress.
Yes.
Don't tap the table.
Yeah, no, that's what I did it. That's what I did
Touch wood.
Yeah. But let's. Yeah. I mean, the future could be shit hot, can it? Let's hope that it goes that way. And I mean, this excites the shit out of me. I know full well that when you walked in earlier, you saw the wrap and your eyes lit right
out. I just went straight in his rig wallet. I was just like pulling stuff out, going this, that, and the other. It's something that's got me this year. I hadn't looked at it in previous years.
Yeah.
The fact that we couldn't do it didn't bother me, because I was tuna fishing anyway. You know, I shouldn't have been tuna fishing, so I wasn't too. But
edit that bit out.
No, I don't care. It happened when we went down to do our training day in Falmouth. He turned around and he was like, "Okay, so everybody's like quite new to tuna fishing," and me and Dave Mordecai like, and he was like, "What's your experience?" And I was like, "I'll just tell you the truth. You know, it is what it is." I said it in the beginning. Never saw what the problem was with me targeting these fish with respect, letting them go, and why couldn't I fish for them? And I'm still at that standpoint. I've had some conversations with some people who are like, if you see a boat targeting tuna, you should be reporting them. A, nobody likes a grass, and B, I was doing that. Why all of a sudden should I be reporting everybody? I think it's more of a failure that we haven't had a license quicker.
Or the licenses aren't open. You know, if you want a recreational license, you get one. There isn't a restriction. So again, it comes down to
pay for it.
Yeah, communication, paying for it, and awareness. So if you understand the rules, it's catch and release only, and you know these are the rules, and this is the guidance. It's an education piece, isn't it? Then you know potentially you could open it up and just go right unlimited recreation anglers. Because you know we've done a better job at communicating and making people aware of.
You have to pay for it.
Shouldn't be doing.
It should be a premium, but that money can go to the MMO. So that before 2 months before the season starts, there's a day in Falmouth, a day in Plymouth, a day in Torquay, a day in Portland, say, a day in Eastbourne, where you have to turn up to your local port with your boat, with your kit. Yeah. You get inspected.
Confidence day.
You don't have to prove that you can. Like, it's not like, here's how you fish for them. Yeah. We want to look at all your kit. We want to look at your boat. That cost you your license. We'll cover all of that. And then you get signed off for your license for the year.
You know, we'll give you some guidance. You know, we think you should be doing this, this and this. So you're set up. You know, have you thought about this?
I think they should have to do their sea survival ticket.
Yes. Wow, yeah.
You know, it's not a lot of money. It's 170 quid. It's a day in a pool and then half a day in a pool, half a day in a classroom.
Half a day in a pool.
I've got mine. Like I've got my 5 tickets to be on a commercial boat.
Yeah.
But like I got pulled. A friend of mine was in a boatyard and one of the MCA guys was in there.
Yeah.
And he went, "Oh, you know the guy from Tuna Gear, don't you?" He's like, "Yeah." Tell him to wear a life jacket because like I'm a bugger for it. Yeah. I've got them on the boat, but I've never got one on.
I mean, I fish with a life jacket on smaller boats, but on charter boats...
They go down just as quick, though.
True, yeah. You know, but they've generally got a life raft on the top and...
Yeah. I'm. It's hard when you're in a harness to have your life jacket on. You've got to dump the life jacket anyway to put your harness on.
So that is a really good point. There's a couple of stories I've probably got to tell you about boats going down. So there's a famous boat that goes out to Three Kings jigging up on... top of New Zealand, which is big kingfish destination. I think it's the Enchantress, I think, from memory. Can't remember exactly, but yeah, he's a renowned skipper that had done that trip many, many times. It's big seas, you know, it's big sort of like 5 to 10 metre swells. It's always big seas. It's a big journey up there, 36 hours. And that boat is old, so probably about 2 years ago now, the boat split in half and they lost, I think 3, maybe 4 people died, recreational fish that had gone on a jigging trip for a week. Live aboard and skip
Look at the 2 old boys we were talking about on the last podcast.
Yeah.
They were on an Orkney, oversized engine on the back, hadn't had it strengthened on the transom.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Something happened, it went down so quick, but they found him in the cabin. One had gone off the back, he had gone into the cabin to pull his life jackets out. The deck split, wedged the door shut, down.
And we'd only helped those 2 boys that winter. Because they're old boys, me and Mark helped them down the pontoon with the fuel because it was a bit frosty, it was a bit slippery, and they were carrying big drums. And we said, "Hang on, boys, we'll help you down. Chat yourselves, the nicest guys you ever meet." But boat wasn't right. There was things wrong with
go
it.
sideways quickly.
They tinkered with the boat a bit. They'd gone down, and that following summer, Mark was the last person to see him alive. We'd helped them that winter. Yeah, one survived, one didn't.
Same with Henry Gilby as well. So I've known Henry for a while, and a couple of years ago we did the whole life raft. Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I have an inflatable life jacket. So I'm fishing rock marks. Not that I do that often, but I will wear a life jacket because again,
I've slipped off the rocks. The takes your breath away.
Those videos they did.
You're in the water doing that.
That shock.
Yeah. And I was stood there 1 minute, and all I did was turn around to get something out of my bag.
Yeah.
You get that black slime on the rock. Yes. Just hadn't seen it. My left leg went bang straight in off the side. That was down in Cornwall.
Yeah.
And I'm paddling around in that water, and I couldn't catch my breath.
Yeah, those videos that they released with that, Ben Field and that lot were involved in that as well. Yeah. It was. I mean, I've spent my whole adult life on the sea. I would consider myself fairly competent. Was an eye opener.
Yeah.
It's never had touch wood.
You've never done the sea survival because I did mine years ago, but yeah, it's the place in pool. Go and try it because it's. Yeah, trying to get in an inflatable life raft with your whole suit on.
It's impossible. Well, it's not even that. It's the things you learn. So you'll from having a life jacket with a spray hood.
Yeah.
Your survival rate goes up by a stupid amount from secondary drowning. Having the crotch strap that comes through.
Always have the strap.
Yeah, that's.
And how many people don't have that going through their crotch? Or it's uncomfortable. Or what bother? All the time. All the time. It's like it's just. Yeah.
What I did learn is the fishing kit you get in the life raft is shit. I remember for the Intercontinental ones, you get like the little
fladden bloody.
Yeah, it's like a little tin spinner and stuff, but it's more there for when because you do the whole psychology about the leader and keeping people occupied and giving people jobs.
Yeah, that's it.
Away at sea. So it's not there to catch fish. It's just purely to give somebody a job so they don't go mental and kill themselves or kill somebody else on the boat. And
it's a funny, because you've got to try and climb in that life raft.
Yeah.
Which is a hard job. I thought I'd just fly up in that. Oh. But you've got those horrible big block life jackets on, which you get on like a cruise ship, which doesn't help with what you're doing anyway. But it still simulates you've got an inflated life jacket on.
Get in.
If I didn't have somebody that had already got into, because we helped the first person in, and then you help the second person in, they're helping. They had to, I wouldn't have got in that.
Yeah.
Easy. I would have fought to get in that thing if someone wasn't there putting me in. But then you're all in it. There's water slopping around in there, and you're just like, oh man, if this was out there, it's dark, it's horrible. You're getting smashed around. It's just.
Got to that point now where the TV's gone off. Don't even know how long have we been going.
How long have we been going?
Fuck, it's 11:15.
Oh, that's not bad. I'm starving.
Yeah.
I'm hungry. Should we get some food?
So on that note, thank you ever so much for the invite, Dan.
Oh, mate,
it's
I
been
really-
a fantastic
no.
experience meeting you and talking fishing. Obviously, I've known
I
Danny
think you
for a
need
while.
to come out with us.
Yes.
I know
Yeah.
you're going to do some stuff with Stuart and all the rest of it,
Yeah.
but I want to bring on,
Yeah.
like I've said multiple times,
Yeah.
I think the recreational, I call them the privateers, I think we should get as much of a spotlight shined on us for what we're doing is what those the charter boys have done and are still doing.
When you win the tuna comp next year, it's
I just
challenge accepted.
Yeah, challenge accepted. Although I've learned not to say things like that because after a load
bite you in the ass again.
Yeah, bite you in the ass. But yeah, it just.
So next time, I'm going to actually enter the competition rather than just go, oh, not that confident in our ability. We don't know what it's going to be like. We'll not enter.
That was the thing. Like we had turned up to that competition on cloud 9. We'd just be nailing fish left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, so it's Falmouth. We'll find the fish. We'll do what we do at home.
Yeah.
Like I've had my best season ever. And I was just full of confidence. I'm there with all my mates.
Yeah.
You couldn't move without seeing a Tuna Gear hoodie or Tuna Gear branded down there. It was like, okay.
Somebody had like put a banana on the boat and then
Don't talk to
put
me
the
about
two left-handed.
Your face.
Don't talk to me
Please
about
tell me
bananas.
somebody didn't bring a banana and then
No.
put your two left-handed gloves together.
We said that we were out the other day.
Yeah.
And my mate said, Tricky said, do you want me to get the bananas out or something like that?
Yeah.
And his face just
Are you kidding?
dropped. He didn't have him. We just took, fully taking the piss out of him. But the face on him was just like...
I was ready to kill someone.
It was
I thought there
so
bananas
funny.
on the boat. It happened in Portugal. Me and Dave, we were over there with another guy, and he comes up. We've gone to Lidl in the morning to get some supplies, and he's walked out with this bunch of bananas. And I went, "What are you doing with those?" He goes, "Well, I like bananas." I went, "They ain't coming on the boat." He's like, "Yeah, they are." So they went in the back of the car. Me and Dave are looking at him, and I said to this guy, "Can you go and stick the trolley back in the rack?"
Yeah.
Gone like this, put my hand inside my sleeve, picked up the bananas, thrown them under the car next to us, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm wiping my hand on the floor trying to get the banana off of it.
Yeah.
And we got onto the boat, he's like, "Where's my bananas?" I was like, "They're in the car park at Lidl, that's where you would have been left if I catch you doing that again."
Yeah.
They're not coming on the boat.
The one rule.
Yeah, one rule, no bananas.
The one rule.
Yeah, no bananas.
Sweet.
Well, I'm hungry. Let's get some food.
Thank you, guys.
It's been a pleasure having you on, Alex, mate.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, mate, thank you for taking the trip down. I've learned loads. I'm sure we're going to carry on talking about it after this. My next great big spend is going to be all of this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to tap you up for some contacts.
Yeah, sure.
By the end of next week, I'll probably have a rig wallet looking like that. I can't help myself. It's...
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be good to get you down. You should come down next summer.
I appreciate the invite.
Yeah. Just come down. You know,
Yeah.
that's what we can do. We can pick the weather windows whenever we want. We can do this. We can do that. You know, you're close by.
Yeah, reasonably.
No. Yeah. Well, close enough. Yeah, come down. Come do some fishing with
I
us.
appreciate the invite.
Perfect. Right, guys, thank you for listening. I know you're going to enjoy this one. I've super enjoyed it.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe.
Give us a share, please. Just give us a share. So.
If you don't want to, but it'd be appreciated if you did. We appreciate the love. We don't do it for that. We do it just because we like talking about fishing, all fishing.
Two idiots and a mic.
Two idiots on a mic. That's all it is, you know.
An idiot sitting the other side.
Yeah, sometimes not. Sometimes they're teaching us a few things. It's not a job, is it? You can sit down and have a beer.
We are very blessed.
And just talk about fishing. That's all I want. I always wanted to do it so we weren't a lure podcast or a carp podcast. I've had them all on, and I want everybody on. I just want to.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like we've always said, it's like being in the tackle shop, bumping into you, going, "Why are you buying that?" And the conversation starts in the tackle shop, and off it goes. We're all kindred spirit in what we're doing. You know, it's all about fishing, isn't it?
It is.
So yeah, guys, thank you for listening, and we will see you on the next one.